15 fights? 15
Yeah.
fights on the card?
Gotta get your money's worth if you get a ticket.
Right? Holy shit, this is why they're charging £10,000 a ticket. Just to stand in the lobby and listen to the crowd. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Outlaw Picks podcast. We're back, 2023, first one of the new year, first pay-per-view of the new year. And it's a good one. 2 belts on the line. Not quite as tantalising as Jones against Gan, which is now going to overshadow everything that happens within the next few weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is a good card. There's some good scraps on this one. We are brought to you today by AG1, Athletic Greens. Team Green, as you can see, always. Fantastic stuff. You need a scoop of this in your life every day. 75 vitamins and minerals, keeps your bases covered. Make sure that you are making sure you're getting all your nutrients, all your probiotics, all the good stuff that you need. Of course, you know, it's difficult to hit that 5 vegetables, fruit and veg a day, and I'm not very good at doing it. And this just, it gives me that peace of mind that I'm covered. The other thing with Athletic Greens as well, if you get this subscription, they're gonna give you a year's free supply of vitamin D and K2, which, of course, I mean, we're using that because it's dark here like 27 hours a day. You need sunshine in your life, and if you're not getting enough sunshine, you need vitamin D. And there's even a good argument that you probably need some vitamin D in your life, even if you are getting good sunshine. Okay, you've got to get into this stuff. We like it. Veronica's in training camp now. She's using it. She's feeling the benefits of it. Keeps your mind fresh, helps you sleep. It's very, very good stuff. So to make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you 1 free year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs. The travel packs are fantastic. Always have a couple in your bag or your suitcase. You never know when you're going to forget your scoop in the morning and you're going to need to shake one up on the go. So you'll get 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is go to athleticgreens.com/outlawed. athleticgreens.com/outlawed with an ED on the end to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. I love that last sentence. They nail it with that. Really, really fantastic stuff. Okay, and our other sponsor, we have a new sponsor for this new year. New Shirt. New Shirt is the new sponsor for the new year. They've got some very cool designs over there. All kind of MMA. Well, some of them are MMA. I've seen some of their new designs that are coming out soon. They've got plans to. There'll be like 30 odd designs on that website soon. But they've dropped a few. There's a couple of Stop the Fight shirts. Very funny. Ha ha. There's a really cool 50 G's baby shirt. I'm sure Jamie's dropping these on the screen now as I'm saying. My favourite is the Kimura tee, which I'm saving for the right occasion because I'm no good with white t-shirts. So I know that I'm gonna get a couple of wears out of that, and then that becomes a training shirt. Newshirt.co.uk. Go and check out some of the designs. They're very cool. The New York City Trolley Dash Championships. These are the kind of shirts that you're walking down the street and someone from across the street sees it and they go, okay, I get that joke. And then you know you've got a friend for life because they got that joke.
I like how in the description it says like a whole bunch of funny things.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. They've someone's got a bit of a strange mind. Whoever's written those descriptions, but check them out. Newshirt.co.uk. I think you'll like some of their stuff. Okay, let's get into this, shall we?
Yeah.
Because there's 15 fights. We're going to be here all night, and you've got to train again because you're in training camp.
Yes.
UFC 286, London.
Yeah, London.
I won't make you make a pick right now for your fight, but I have been already been requested on Twitter that you give us a full breakdown and prediction of your fight. So
I'm not Dan Hardy.
think strategically what information you want to give away. Then that's something to look forward to for a couple of shows' time. Okay, UFC 283. So are we going Tapology? So the first fight is Daniel Marcos against Simon Oliveira. Yeah?
Yes.
Marcos has got a scary Tapology photo.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. I keep looking at his name and thinking it says Narcos. Like if you photoshopped his face onto like a cartel lord that's just been arrested or something, that's what it looks. You know what I mean? He looks like a badass. He looks like he's going to stand and fight to the death every time. 13-0. What does Soncora mean? What's his nickname mean? Do you know?
No.
Has it got a translation? I wonder what it means.
I don't know.
If you know what it is, drop it into the comments. I'm always interested to know what people's nicknames are. This guy's a lot of fun to watch. I mean, he was pushed to a unanimous decision against Lewis on the Contender Series, but I think he would be surprised how many shots that kid took and kept walking forward. I mean, he just looked, he's got a real nice, confident style, predominantly boxing, but he's got that lovely snap front kick up the centre line. And I think that might be an interesting one for this fight because you've got Oliveira, who's also very, very much a Thai boxer. Oliveira stands like a Thai boxer out of a movie. Mm-hmm. You know, like Paco out of Bloodsport. Yeah. He like properly stands like a Thai boxer. I think this is going to be a really interesting one. But you know, you look at Marcos's. I don't know. I feel like Marcos's game is a bit more one-sided than Oliveira's. I feel like Oliveira's got good striking, but he's also got a lot of submissions to back it up.
Yeah, and when he struggled in that last fight, it was because it was a take you down, wear you down type of fight that we don't really see from Marcos, which I looked up what his nickname means, and I was just like, do I not speak Spanish? What's going on? And it says, I'm going to read and translate it. It says, when I was 12 years old, all right, the end, it says, heart. So, corazón, when you repeat it multiple times. So,
okay.
Corazón, 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 corazón.
Oh, okay,
That's supposed to sound like heart.
Oh, I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Okay, fair enough. Well, I mean, it fits with him. It fits with him. He's got a very fun style. But what I liked about Oliveira is his neck attacks. I mean, 7 guillotines. He's got seven guillotines, 2 rear naked chokes, arm triangle, and a triangle. And the reason why he lost to Gravely, I want to call him Gravely. The reason why he lost to Gravely is because Gravely he almost got caught in a guillotine in the first 20 seconds. Yeah. He was able to work his way out of that, but then everything after that was like bridging his neck, staying strong, staying as much behind him as he could. And he had his team right in his corner, didn't he, for most of the fight? So he was able to get good coaching straight away. Yeah. I don't know. It's a good fight to kick the card off for sure. I
like how Oliveira also incorporates takedowns when things are in the feet just a bit too even. Yeah. Like he likes his Muay Thai style and he likes to strike, but if, I feel like if Marcos is landing too many of those leg kicks they landed in the Dana White Contender Series
they were
fight.
Hard.
Yeah. And then how he mixed it up to the head. He was feinting to the leg and then came up the middle. And there was a lot of up the middle shots that can just kind of put you off trying to go for a takedown, because he did also do a flying knee, and
he's got a flying knee knockout, 42 seconds. Yeah.
But that Dana White Contender Series fight, it was 3 years since he fought that time. So you have to think he's probably a lot better in this fight. It went from having fought in different organizations that people can be like, oh, that's not the level or whatever people say, to then going on Dana White Contender Series, getting praise from, everybody there, all the top names, and then going into a pay-per-view card. It can give you that confidence that you might not have had because you're a fighter in Peru. It's not the same as you're going up in...
It's a big jump,
in
isn't
America,
it? Yeah, it's a big jump from a local circuit to a Contenders to a pay-per-view.
Especially one that doesn't really have a lot of gyms or events all over, So
yeah,
I thought it was pretty cool.
So tailor the tape. So Marcos has got a 3-inch height advantage at 5'7", but Oliveira's got the reach advantage, 3-inch reach advantage. Higher striking output for Marcos, better striking accuracy, better striking defense. I mean, of course, all of these stats are based on
the Dana White Contenders fight, right?
The noise is a little dog walking around. I think she's going.
Is she leaving?
I don't know. I think she's had enough of us talking already. Yeah, of course, they're all based off of very little information, but I mean, I expect Marcos to want to keep this one on the feet, right?
Yeah, and he defended 9 takedowns, wasn't it, in his Contender Series?
Is that what it was? 9?
Yeah, I believe so.
Let's have a look.
Or that's what I wrote down.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon 13.
Oh, 13.
Yeah,
oh,
13. Wow. Brandon Lewis landed 2 of 13. That's a 15% success rate, and only had to control for half a round. But the counting control up against the fence and stuff as well. Yeah, good first fight to kick the card off. Kind of
should be interesting.
Yeah, kind of not really sure which way to pick it either way. Yeah. What do you reckon? Which way are you going?
I think it's a bit of a coin toss with Marcos, I believe, but I just think he's going to be able to keep his range and keep, you know, because he fights pretty long at the end of his punches. So I think maybe if he does that and he defends some takedown, maybe Oliveira might try to get a bit too desperate and going for some submissions and find himself in just gassing his arms out or getting a bit tired. But
do you think there's a benefit in the fact that Oliveira's already fought on a pay-per-view and done 3 rounds, even though it was a loss? Because the likelihood is he's not going to get the same kind of approach from his opponent this time around. I mean, Marcos most likely isn't going to want to like clamp onto his body and hold him up against the fence and, you know, kind of stifle everything that he does. I would imagine that Marcos is more likely going to want to keep this one in striking range, box him up, kick his leg off, and not get tangled up at all.
Yes,
which makes it a bit easier for Simon to get the fight that he wants, because at least he can stand and trade with him because he is a good striker as well.
Yeah. I'm going to go for Marcos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think he can do good.
Okay. I have no idea, so I'll pick the opposite way. I'll go with Oliveira.
Yeah.
To land a guillotine. Make it 8.
It is a bit of a tricky because we haven't seen much of Marcos.
Yeah, so. Yeah. But you know, I can imagine him getting into a trade, and you know, Oliveira might just clip him for a second, and you know, buckle his legs or get him to level change or whatever, and then he, you know, then that's where his neck is. I mean, he's got that, you know, he's got a really nice step through power left kick as well, so he could be working the body over and over again. Could damage that rear leg. I don't know. Yeah, no, I'll pick opposite you just for fun. But good one to kick off.
Yeah,
she's digging herself into her bed again. Honestly, it's like getting comfortable in her bed is like ground and pound on a bag. Okay, moving on to the next fight.
Yep.
So we have Luan Lacerda against Cody Stamann. Now, I was wondering whether Cody Stamann would... She's buried herself in a blanket now. I
can't see what she's doing.
I wish you guys could see what she's doing. We should have a 4th camera on the dog bed. I was wondering whether Cody Stamann got a cancellation here, because this seems like an odd fight given the fact that Lacerda's, you know, new to the UFC. Like, he was on the Contenders, he was on LFA and stuff, so he's been on Fight Pass, but he's not fought on. She literally tangled herself into it.
Where are you going?
Settle down, you maniac. My goodness. Yeah, he's not fought on any like a Contender Series or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? So like stepping in and getting Cody Stamann straight away, who's been in the UFC for a while.
But this is why I think it is, because he is fighting in Rio, and he has been Jose Aldo's training partner for a really long time. You know, he had Jose Aldo in his corner, and I think he was the main sparring partner when Aldo was supposed to fight Holloway.
Right.
And he said also in a thing, he took a selfie in Rio when Aldo beat Mendez. Mendez, yeah. Yeah. So this, for him, is going to be a fight that is emotionally very important, because you have Aldo in Rio, and you took a picture when he beat him, so you think that's going to happen. I don't know if they're going to, maybe because of that as a storyline, that can be good for the Brazilian fans.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, they might feel like he's got enough striking to make Cody Stamann want to wrestle.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because like we saw Cody Stamann get caught in that guillotine against Nurmagomedov pretty quickly. They might be feeling like Lacerda can get a quick first round submission and, you know, ride off into the sunset and, you know, as the Prince of Rio, if Aldo's the king, of course.
I think that's kind of why they made this matchup, or they must have had that into like a certain outcome that can happen.
Yeah.
Because he has enough striking in order to make him grapple, I believe.
Yeah.
But Stamann does a really good job at stepping through with punches and lands a lot more powerful shots than maybe Luan's previous opponents.
Yeah, he is a very powerful individual. I mean, we saw that in his last fight against Wineland. But then before that, he was on three losses in a row: Rivera, Dvalishvili, and Said Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, but Dvalishvili really is.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not discrediting it, but I am saying that he was in a bit of a tight spot until that Wineland fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like this new kid's gonna be something special.
Yeah,
I mean, he's very slick. He's, you know, from what I've seen of his grappling, it looks like if Cody Stamann touches him, he's gonna be all over him
Although I was listening to one of the fights on YouTube, which is Portuguese,
right?
And they were saying that he wears his shorts with a black belt on it. Have you seen it? It's like his signature shorts for good luck,
right? And
then it was like in the last fight, he wanted to show that he could strike more, but he's not gonna have good luck, is he? Because he's not gonna be able to wear the shorts. Maybe his like grappling won't be as good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You could wear them underneath.
Yeah,
you'd have to wear them underneath. I remember BJ Penn first showing up with those shorts with the black belt around the waist. That's the first time I saw him. And I think it was the first time it had been seen in an MMA fight, and everyone just lost their mind for it. Really? Yeah, they were next day people were printing blue belt ones and purple belt ones, and yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure it was BJ Penn who did it first. So this kid Lacerda's he's got what, 1, 2, 3 rear naked chokes, an anaconda, an arm bar, an arm triangle choke, guillotine, heel hook. I mean, guillotines and rear naked chokes are his thing. So regardless of however Cody Stamann approaches this, if he level changes, he's looking at, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't even be surprised if Stamann gets himself into a body lock position up against the fence and feels safe, and then this kid rolls through for a knee bar or something.
Yeah, and he has gone a lot for like single legs and then pulls guard from it because he knows he has well enough grappling to put his opponent over one way and get to the back.
Yeah.
So that might be another thing. Before somebody takes you down, you kind of get the initiative so you can have the better angle to start off your next transition.
That Stamann loss to Aljo was the knee bar, wasn't it?
Yes.
The Suloev stretch.
Yeah, but he was stuck in a triangle from Aljo for a bit.
I think the new kid's going to do it. I think Lacerda by submission. I think rear naked choke. Standing rear naked choke first round.
That's pretty good.
Is it?
Yeah, I think, maybe. Yeah, I'm going to go for Lacerda.
This is why I like a shot in the dark prediction, which is like very, very specific, because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be completely way off and incorrect. But that one time when I get it, I get it on the spot. Clip it quick. Clip it. Post it on my Instagram quick. Holy shit, I got to pick right.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Lacerda.
Yeah, I think so too. I like Cody Stamann, but he's kind of always in that kind of holding pattern, I feel, where he's a tough guy in the division, but he's not really making any waves. You know, he's got wins over good guys, but he's not got. I mean, his last finish was outside of the UFC 2017. Yeah. Oh no, sorry. Of course, the Wineland one. That was his first finish in the UFC. The Wineland fight. Anyway, yeah. No, I'm going with Lacerda. Okay. Next up is Josiane Nunes against Zara Fern.
Yes.
A women's featherweight fight, which is a rather rare thing to see on a UFC card.
Yeah. Because they are, Farhan, how do you say her name? Zara. I'm just going to say Zara. She is tall.
Yes, she is.
She is a big lady.
She is. What is she? 5'8"? Yeah,
she is 5'8". Not 5'8". You can just tell. You can look at it and just tell that she's not 5'8", because people that she's fighting, let's say they're 5'5", and she's like a foot taller than them.
That's what. Yeah, but Josiane Nunes is 5'2", so of course she's going to look tall.
No, okay, that's true that she is very short for the.
She didn't look tall against Megan Anderson. Megan Anderson's tall. Avatar kind of tall.
Yeah, I guess. But she's also more like built out.
Is she? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel.
I don't think she's going to win this one.
She was supposed to be fighting Eileen Perez in Paris.
Was she?
Yeah, and then Eileen got that late replacement against Stephanie Edgar.
Right.
That's what happened. So when I looked up what happened, it was medical issues, so I don't know what that is. But yeah, she's been training at that Figueiredo team for a while. Like before that fight, she was training there, yeah. Huh. So maybe that's why they also put her on this card, because they thought, that's good. Plus with a Brazilian girl.
Josiane Nunes reminds me of John Lineker when she's striking. Like,
she's just like, I just want to wreck
she's scary, yeah.
She's like,
I would like to fight her. I don't like to fight her at all.
You know what it reminds me of? Like if you do something and your mom gets really angry and then she grabs like that flip-flop and she's going to come get you. Like that ferocity. And you have to run. You're just like, oh, shit.
That's it.
She's not going to stop.
The Josiane Nunes has got the coming at you with a flip-flop energy. Yeah, right.
With a chancleta or a Havaiana because she's Brazilian.
Yeah,
there we go.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think she's going to steamroller. I just think she's too aggressive. She throws big bombs over the top, round the sides, and Fern's not had a good time in the UFC so far. And I don't think this is going to be any different.
Yeah, Fern's biggest problems were on the ground. Like getting ground and pound or taken down.
Yeah,
because she does have really good knees but I just don't feel like she's that imposing.
I just think her height works against her in this fight for sure. I didn't do Taylor Tate for the last fight. Oh well, you probably put it up on the screen, didn't you, Jamie? Yeah, you see, I don't know what's going on.
They could
Jamie holds the show together. So Josiane Nunes is 9-1. Zara Fern is 6-4. Both of her UFC fights have been losses, been defeats in the first round, unfortunately. A 6-inch height advantage for Zara Fern and a 5-inch reach advantage is rather substantial. Unless your opponent's like standing on your front foot or on top of you, which is most likely where Josiane coming at you with a flip-flop Nunes is going to be.
Yeah, but she just fought Bea Malecki, which is like 8 feet tall.
Yeah, exactly.
Like minimum.
Yeah, and attacked her like a siege on a castle gate.
She went Superman punch left, Superman punch left.
She's fun to watch. She's a lot of fun to watch. Because
she's going there to to end you.
She's coming to murder you, yes, absolutely.
And that for me, that always makes a fun fight, no matter what the results are. If you're going in there with the intention of fighting, gets the people going.
I just think the fact that she fights like that is the reason why she's going to win this fight.
Exactly.
Is because Fern's going to be on her back foot, trying to push her away with her lead leg, trying to knee her and just getting bowled over. Her only loss on her record is a second pro fight back in 2013 against Tyler Santos. It's also worth noting. It was Santos' second fight. So it's not like the loss that she picked up was to just kind of anybody.
Yeah.
I think she's an assassin, and I think she's gonna get a finish here. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Fern go back to her corner looking very dejected with some swelling on her face, and she sits down and she's like, okay, second round, and then she's just had enough and she don't see the end of the second.
Because even when Nunes got taken down, she'll start elbowing you like It's like
she's
trying
possessed.
to control like a Chucky thing.
Like she can't reach the flip-flop that she's trying to hit you with.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. That kind of intensity.
Like, you really made your mom mad. Like, oh no.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Fortunately, my mum was never as aggressive or as well built as Josiane Nunes, so I always had a running chance. Okay, right. Have you made your pick? Are we both picking the same? I kind of feel like we're both thinking that Zara Fern's going to get.
This is my second most sure pick of the fight.
Oh, is it?
Of
really?
The card, yeah.
I'm not sure of any of mine, but I'm pretty confident in that one.
I'm only confident in like 2, and this is one of them.
I'm pretty confident in that one. I wonder what she'd look like at bantamweight though. Like she must have fought at bantamweight before. Like why is this fight at featherweight? I kind of feel like.
Yeah, but why not?
Yeah, a fight against Bea Malecki was at bantamweight. No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Yeah, most of the fights. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I just wonder. Well, could that be the reason why?
Well, because Fairine Zara was scheduled to fight.
Yeah, she's always.
Oh yeah,
she was a bantamweight before the UFC. Cage 40 back in 2017. But then she fought Isabella Badorek, who she fought in the UFC, didn't she?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, okay,
why.
Tell me. Sorry.
You gotta listen.
Sorry.
They were scheduled to fight in 2021.
Right.
But
yes,
Fairine weighed in at 147 pounds.
Oh, okay.
And Jocelyn weighed in at 136, so the fight was canceled.
Right.
So this is it getting rescheduled, and she's like, you ain't getting away from me. I'm going to hit you with that chancleta in your head. At 145, let's get it.
Let's get it. Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to get in the mindset.
Oh, no, I'm feeling it.
You feeling it? Okay,
yeah,
good. I want to do it justice.
This is the kind of commentary I get when the fights are on live, just so you know. She's usually standing on the sofa, let me tell you, yelling, like a little bit like Gloria off Modern Family. Screaming at the TV. Anyway, so we're both picking Joe Ciano.
Yes.
This is a difficult one to pick because I feel like both of these guys are very, very skilled martial artists and they've both got the skills to win. Yeah, they both show up. So, yeah. Wally Alves against Nicholas Dalby. A really fun fight.
Okay, but let's take into account...
Okay. Nicholas Dalby's tattoo. It does give him an extra 10 points.
Yes. Also, that was
a great tattoo.
He's always posting with his butt out, though.
Yeah. While he was getting the tattoo done, he was sending me photos of his tattoo with his butt out. Of course he was. Of course he was.
Should I be jealous?
He's a constant tease, Nicholas Dalby is. A constant tease. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So Wally Alves is, well, he's listed as 15-5 on UFC stats, but he's not, is he? He's 14-5. That would be because the Ultimate Fighter, right?
Yeah.
So 14-5 for Wally Alves, 24-1 with 2 no contests for Nicholas Dalby, or 1 no contest and a bloodbath.
Yeah, that was crazy. That fight was crazy.
The whole arena smelled of blood.
It was Mark Goddard, right?
It was like the first scene off the first movie Blade, with the great music. Boom, boom. You know, where he's slicing them all up in the dance floor, and you don't remember.
I do remember. I used to love Blade because he had a cape and I wanted to be just like him.
Come on, didn't you not learn from Incredibles? No capes?
Okay, I learned after from Edna.
Capes, yeah, well, Edna
you learned from Incredibles because I made you watch it.
I'm going to corner you as if I'm Edna. I might even dress like her. I might even wear the wig and the glasses and talk like her in the corner. Anyway.
That'd be inspiring.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think so. Both 5'11". Nicholas Dalby has a 2-inch reach advantage at 74. Slightly higher striking output for Dalby, slightly lower striking accuracy for Dalby. Wally Alves has the advantage in the grappling by the looks of it. 52% accuracy on his takedowns and slightly more takedowns per 15 minutes than Dalby. 78% takedown defense and 1.1 submission average as well. So, you know, Wally Alves, I do feel like he has the opportunity to close this if he wants to. I'll tell you what was really nice in his fight against Lazzez, who's obviously also on this card. On the break, he hit him with that spinning back fist, and that forced Lazzez to like hold him and clinch him for a second.
Yeah.
And then he hit that Haragoshi. Mm-hmm. That was very nice.
Yeah, he hits that quite a lot, and it's consistent in its fights.
Yeah. But then the thing that finished that was the body kick on the break.
Yeah, 3.
Oh, but the thing is, well, the first one landed. The first one was the one that did the damage because that was the one that landed on his rib cage, like quite high up on his rib cage. But then you watch the second one; it lands on the outside of his arm, and the third one hits him on the elbow.
Yeah,
like I'd imagine that Wally Alves came off worse on that third kick, to be honest, because kicking an elbow is nasty. But the first one did the damage.
Makes it feel like a balloon.
Like a balloon. Really, really good performance, but. You know, as we were saying, it's like, you know, well, look, his record here is loss to Krause, win against Moraes, loss against Brown, win against Lazzez, loss against Wells. And then, you know, we're kind of in a similar situation with Dalby. We've got a win against Oliveira. It was a loss against Ronson, but then Ronson failed his drug test, didn't he, I think? So that's a no contest.
Yes.
Yeah.
For steroids.
Yeah. I think he took it on short notice. I think he flew him out to Fight Island, took him on short notice. I remember speaking to him and he was like beside himself, excited. Then a win against Rodriguez, loss against Tim Means, and then a win against Silva. Like, they're kind of alternating wins and losses. So if we're looking at this pattern by the look of it, Wally Alves should win this one. Because, I mean, there is a clear pattern here.
If you have also the extra points that you're in Brazil.
Yeah.
That it might give you, like, for example, that works for Dalby. Like when Dalby's in a spot where he feels the crowd is behind him, he really, because in that last fight, he fought in London, didn't he? And everyone was going, every time he landed a strike. So it would just, man, I think he has good cardio, but I just think that gave him like extra cardio, which it does. If the crowd, you know, starts cheering like that.
It was when he fought Alex Lahore on Cage Warriors 103 that was in Copenhagen, Denmark, and that was the same thing. It was like, I mean, obviously people were really behind him in that fight, and it was a really good performance. I don't know.
Maybe here he might feel like
like a Viking.
Enemy territory.
Like going on a raid.
Valhalla.
Valhalla, yeah.
Yeah, Valhalla.
Yeah. Like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like Dalby he's kind of quite an internal being anyway. Do you know what I mean? I feel like if his mind's right internally, it doesn't really matter where he is. Mm-hmm. I just kind of don't know how to pick this one. I mean, I feel like they're both good fighters. They've both got good skills, good finishing abilities, but they've both got that inconsistency streak that.
Yeah, you just don't know. What was cool with like when Warley fought Brown was that he explosively attacked him to the point, got him off balance and got the fight to the ground.
Yeah.
But then Wells did the same thing to him in his last fight as soon as it started.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't think Brown should have got that triangle. I mean, it was a beautiful triangle, but I think Warley should have been aware had he been more kind of focused.
That's the thing, yeah, exactly. That's the thing.
You know, he kind of like
on a
lost
different
focus
day,
of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Like on a different day with a different mindset, I think he's
doing great on the ground and then just got caught with that. You're just kind of like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I just that's my concern with him is that the inconsistency of his performance. I mean, he's got a win over Covington. You know, he's got good wins on his record.
He posts that on Instagram all the time.
Does he? Yeah.
Happy birthday, Covington. He posts it, he starts laughing.
Like good wins. Nordine Taleb, Covington, Salim Touari, Sultan Aliyev, Sergio Moraes, a good win. Munier Lazez, that was a really lovely body kick.
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning towards Alves on this one.
Yeah, I'm just gonna. I don't know. I'm going for Dalby.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because on the last pick, I picked Claudio Silva, which retired. So happy retirement. He's not watching this, but whatever. But I picked him because I thought Claudio Silva was just going to out-grapple him and probably finish him on the ground, which is kind of where I would go to in here for Warley. But he was able to, even though he wasn't able to really escape or... He was able to keep himself safe long enough to where he could cause damage as quickly as possible. And that elbow over the top and that showing that I don't get tired, you're going to get tired. I think that's going to get to Warley, yeah. I feel like if your name's Warley, you kind of have to fight. Like you have war in your name, you know? I wonder if his parents did that on purpose.
You reckon?
I don't know. That's what
Probably
I thought.
Not.
No. Well, I did think that while doing this. I was like delirious in the middle of the night trying to research.
So you're going with Dalby, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Dalby.
Okay. I'm leaning slightly towards Alves because of that emotional inconsistency of both of them and the fact that this is in Brazil.
Yeah, I did think that.
Okay, right. Moving on before you change your mind. So, Terence McKinney against Ismael Bonfim.
Yes.
So the Bonfim brothers are both on this card, are they not?
They are both on this card. It's going to be the fourth time they're both on this card, same card, yes.
One thing I thought was a little bit unfair was when Ismael was fighting on the Contender Series, the commentator was like, he's really good, but his brother's supposed to be excellent. I'm like...
I know, I heard that.
Imagine listening to that back in the commentary. You're like...
How would I feel? You know, that's my brother, but also F you.
Yeah. I mean that was, but I mean I thought comparably they were both very skilled.
You know what was funny during the commentary? It was Larasenko was like, "Yeah, with a Mack truck with a flat tire can't run you over as easily," or something like that. And then DC goes, "Yeah, that's a nice She's like, analogy. He was like, yeah, that. That's pretty funny.
Well, so what we did see from Ismael was 3 rounds on the Contenders, wasn't it? He looked quite comfortable for the majority of that fight against Abazov. Mm-hmm. First round, he was under a bit of pressure. Abazov came in like he was going to be able to land a knockout punch. But he was quickly backed up. And, you know, we saw good patience out of Bonfim. We saw good striking. That left hook to the body was lovely that he kept going back to. Bang.
He was also like with his head quite to the opposite side when he landed it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a reaching long left body hook. It was I'm in there in a boxing range.
He's on what, a 12-fight win streak, and his last loss was against Renato Moicano.
Yeah,
2014 in Jungle Fight. So he's on a hell of a streak. There's a lot of attention obviously around the two of them, but maybe there's a bit less pressure on him because the commentators think his brother's better.
Yeah, and he's always the first one that fights.
Of course, because he's the appetizer, and his brother's the.
That's so like messed up.
Is it?
Yeah, like you can't say that.
But then his
it's like saying you have an ugly child.
But then his nickname's Maheta, and his brother's nickname's Little Mallet, isn't it? Mahetinha.
Yeah.
But then he's the smaller one of the two. He's lightweight, and his brother's welterweight.
I've seen that happen quite a bit with siblings.
The older one's shorter. One.
Yeah. That's a weird, consistent thing that I've noticed.
Yeah.
With some siblings.
I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. I just think Terrence McKinney's a real handful for the first round from what we've seen. I mean, the question is what happens when you start pushing him into the later rounds, because he's got that like kind of nervous tension, it looks like to me, especially when he's striking. He's a little bit like, you know what I mean? He's a little bit tightly wound, but of course he's wrestling, his grappling's very, very strong, and I mean he's got a very, very quick off the mark 1-2. As we saw against Fafolo, what was that? 7 seconds.
7 seconds.
Straight in.
Fastest knockout in lightweight.
Is it right?
Yeah.
I just think he's a real handful, and I don't know as I'm that excited about Bonfim's overall game.
You know what I find a little bit about McKinney, that it's just the amount of first round knockouts that he has kind of puts you in the mind that I'm just going to finish you in the first round, and that's just, that's written sort of thing. And sometimes, like the time that he lost, I felt like he was winning the fight and having a lot of success, but since he was having a lot of success with one thing, he kept returning to it, which is why he got caught with that knee, because it was very obvious that he was going to go in that direction. And although he doesn't kind of like do that much anymore, but yeah, I just feel like that excitement sometimes works against him. Like it worked against him with Drew, and with Eric, he did catch him that one time, because he's kind of like, I'm hitting you.
Yeah, he is there to get caught. I don't necessarily know that Bonfim's going to be able to
have that power.
And there's so tail of the tape. So we've got 18-3 for Bonfim, 13-4 for McKinney. 2-inch height advantage for McKinney, and a 2-inch reach advantage as well. Of course, I expect McKinney's wrestling to be better, and I do feel like he's going to be aggressive with his submission attacks as well.
Yeah,
I feel like that's where the difference is in this fight. If it stays standing, I feel Bonfim's the one with the more experience. He certainly looks more comfortable on the feet as well. Less tense, you could say. You know what I mean? And I think that'll work for him if the fight goes into the later rounds as well, because he's a first round finisher. He's got a couple of first round finishes as well, but I don't think he's as expectant of first round finishes as McKinney is. And I do think that might work against him. Yeah,
which is why I think it's kind of a good scenario for him, because his brother is very kind of like Terrence McKinney. He's going to go out and get the finish right away. So he has somebody that he's been training for many years, and he's even in the interviews, you see he's like the calm one, the one that's not like joking so much around, that laughs, but very older brotherly. And I feel like maybe in this fight he can do a lot of
big brother McKinney a bit,
and like kind of tire a big puppy out. Yeah, McKinney just kind of reminds me of like a big puppy that has really long limbs, so when he attacks the back is really great, especially
he's very good with his legs, isn't he? The way he crossed them over.
At the same time that he was working with the arms, so that was really good. But if you just stay kind of like Dalby did, if you just stay safe for long enough to get it going. Yeah.
So which way you go?
I'm going to go for...
I'm going to go Terrence McKinney. I think he's fast and explosive. I think the more time he's spent in the UFC, the more confident he's got, and I think the deciding factor in this fight is the fact that he can grapple if he needs to. He'll be able to put this fight on the floor, I feel.
Yeah, maybe like a standing rear naked choke again.
Oh, you reckon? Yeah.
Yeah, just does something slick, gets the back, and just has to stand up.
Yeah, I'm going Terrence McKinney for this one. Which way you go?
Okay, I'll go the same.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't let me down, Terrence.
Okay, next one up, heavyweights. I'm pretty confident in this pick, if I'm honest.
Yeah, this was my number one confident pick.
Yeah.
This was why, if all else fails, I'm going to get this one right tonight.
Jailton Almeida against Shamil Abdurrahimov. of course, Abdurakhimov is, he's been in the UFC for a long while. He's unfortunately on a 3-fight losing streak. But, I mean, he's got decision win over Arlovsky. He stopped Marcin Tybura. Walt Harris, Anthony Hamilton, Chase Sherman. He's got some wins on his record. He has been formidable in the past, but I feel like now he's kind of hit a point where, he's been stopped 3 times. Jailton Almeida is a very, very strong grappler. Mm-hmm. That he's not. I mean, he's built like a proper heavyweight. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like he's a good athlete. He's got incredible top pressure when he's taking someone down.
It's like the new generation of heavyweights, and I think for him, this fight is even better because of what happened with Francis, and like the need of really exciting heavyweights, and because he's fought at 205. But I think for him, I would take more advantage of being a heavyweight.
Yeah,
especially because you'll have that speed, that wrestling advantage, the grappling that most heavyweights don't.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, his grappling looks so strong that he could nullify guys that are bigger and heavier because he's got those skills. It's not like he's going to be undersized. I mean, the thing for heavyweight, height obviously is an important thing, but the big thing for heavyweight is reach. Like if you look at like John Jones, he's 84-inch reach, so you've got to kind of compare your heavyweights to that, and they're usually between sort of 80 and 85-inch reach if they're going to be, about 79 to 84 is kind of like the heavyweight reach range, I think. Mm-hmm. Anything shorter than that, and you're starting to give up advantages that most heavyweights have got over you. He's got a 79-inch reach. He's 6'3". Abdurahimov 6'3", but he's got a 76-inch reach.
Yeah,
which is more middleweight, welterweight kind of reach. You know what I mean? So like,
he's not that physically.
No. And the thing is as well, you look at Almeida next to him, and he's going to look bigger anyway. He's going to look taller and longer, and he's going to have a better gas tank, I would imagine, because he's carrying less unnecessary weight.
Yeah, he's kind of the ones that like are across from you, and you just go,
damn. Yeah.
I can't match with this guy.
Yeah, and I expect him to get either a first or a second round rear naked choke.
Is he going to go front kick to level change?
Absolutely, he's going to do front kick to level change. Yeah, he might even.
If he does,
he might even knock him out with the front kick. It's one of the most consistent things I've seen of his game. Front kick to level change. So it's a really weird setup, but it works well for him. And I feel like Abdurakhimov just kind of plods a little bit, doesn't he? He's going to look small and slow in this fight. I think he's going to get front kicked in the face, probably taken down against the fence, and as he's getting up, he's going to give his back, get flattened out, and either ground and pound or rear naked choke.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Because he was scheduled to fight him twice, and then he took 2 short notice fights, which he won, Almeida.
Mm.
Yeah, and
Turkle and Parker Porter.
Exactly. Yeah. And there was Samir was having some sort of problems with the protocols.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
With the what?
We're not allowed to say it because then we'll get blocked.
Oh, I see. Okay. Travel issues.
No, not travel issues. With the CORNA.
Oh, okay. Are we not allowed to mention that?
I don't know. I saw in like
Are there YouTube rules around that kind of stuff? I don't know.
There's kind of weird.
I watch Dr. John Campbell every day, watching tread very finely around the rules of.
I don't know. I don't want this video to get taken down. I've done way too much research, so I'm just on the safe side.
I don't like all these new rules that are being implemented.
Anyway, right, so yeah, definitely Jailton.
Yeah, I think I'm
he has like a pretty sad story. I'm just gonna tell you, if you're having a good day, I'm sorry. So his brother went missing in 2012, and they used to train like together, and it looked like his brother took the wrong path, type of thing, and he uses it as motivation to help him out. Yeah, saw in the Dana White Contender Series when he was talking about it.
Yeah, damn. Okay, so the next Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim against Munir Lazzez. So Gabriel Bonfim is undefeated in 13 fights, and he's the one that the commentators are really excited about. Now you've had the warm-up Bonfim. This is the main event
so
Bonfim.
Messed up.
Oh, it's funny. So 13-0 for Gabriel Bonfim and 11-2 for Munir Lazzez. Both 6'1", but Lazzez has a 4-inch reach advantage. 72 inches of reach for a 6'1" individual. That is a negative ape index. That's a short reach for someone who's 6'1", isn't it?
Yeah.
76 inches for a 6'1" individual is relatively normal, but Lazzez is very good at using that reach as well. He's got a wicked jab. I like how he kind of hangs his head a little bit over his lead leg to like tempt you to strike so he can counter. I think this is a tough fight for Bonfim. I know everyone's excited about him because of what he did on the Contenders, but I will say that there's a difference between Trey Waters and Munir Lazzez.
I think a lot of the reasons why people are going more for Bonfim because of Lazzez's loss with Warlley Alves, which I just thought was like kind of weird.
You get caught sometimes. I mean, he got caught with a body kick on the break. It's sometimes, like people don't necessarily expect to get struck on the break, which is why it's useful to strike on breaks and, body kicks instead of low kicks or head kicks.
Yeah.
Like he just got caught and he blocked, like I said, he blocked the next two kicks that would have really done the damage, but the damage was done with the first one. I think he's a really good striker.
The one that Dana White's son was like, "Oh, look, sign this guy."
Yeah, and there was a bunch of pressure on him.
Yeah, and then he said there was a lot of pressure on him in that Warlley fight after. So maybe it's because of that. But he did start using his jab more in the second round against Losa because I remember like Dominic Cruz getting quite annoyed about it.
Yeah, but sometimes
use your jab.
Yeah, but the thing is, like sometimes you've got to. Instead of just criticizing why they're not doing it, you've got to wonder why they're not doing it. Because to me, it looked like he was not using his jab because he was trying not to push Losa back. Like he was trying to get him to commit to something so he could counter because he felt like he had a speed advantage. Like I felt like he was the sharpest striker out of the two.
Yeah, definitely.
Like Losa had a good striking skill set, and he was able to land from time to time, but not. He didn't have the same kind of composure that Lazzez did. Like I felt like Lazzez was doing what Izzy does sometimes, where he like hangs his head out, like, "Go on, you strike me and let me counter you." And it wouldn't surprise me if he does the same thing here to Bonfim. I think he's going to slow this fight right down and try and force this into a kicking game.
Yeah.
And I think I think it's a tough fight for Bonfim. I know a lot of people are very excited about him. You look, the majority of his wins though are submissions, and the question is, is Munir Lazzez the same opponent that he's been submitting? Because, I mean, I've watched some of these opponents that he fought, and they don't compare to someone of like Lazzez's build and athleticism. I think he could be really problematic.
Lazzez is also an Italian citizen.
Is he really? Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if he trains with that. What is that really famous Italian kickboxer?
Really famous Italian kickboxer?
Yeah. He fights. Does he fight in one now? Or am I getting them confused? No. Okay, I don't know. Never mind.
Yeah. What do you reckon? Which way you go?
I do like the non-stop attacks of Bonfim.
Yeah.
Especially because if he can get kind of like shocked early, like he did against Warlley, maybe, especially because if it's in Brazil, if he's talking about having a lot of pressure in Brazil, they're going to say you're going to die before you walk out, like quite a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, he might just be really excited and just take advantage. But he is quite a smart fighter, Bonfim. Like his win with that Von Flue type of choke.
That was nice.
Yeah, it was pretty slick because he changed from what he was doing when he noticed that he had that opportunity. So it's not something that it's just, by accident you got it or something. It was thought out.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
he went too far over,
pace.
didn't he?
Yeah,
he went too far over. He missed the head, and then he came back and collected it. Yeah, and it was. I mean, it seemed almost to me like his opponent, even though he knew that the submission was lost, he was still hopeful that he might get it because otherwise he knew he was doomed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So he even squeezed on the guillotine, even when he was caught in the Von Flue choke, and then he was like, "No, let go and tap."
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for him.
What, for Bonfim?
Yeah, I just think sometimes, kind of like that London card where everybody just, all the British fighters, it just happen to be one of those nights that everything works out for you.
Yeah.
I think this might be one of those nights for the Brazilian fighters.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just feel like Lazzez is just sharp and dangerous and probably not going to allow himself to get tangled up quite as easily as some of his other opponents have.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like Lazzez. It might. I think I think it might be a decision, but I think Lazzez might be able to push him. I think he might even get tangled up a couple of times and be close, but might be able to get out of him.
Yeah, I think the grappling of Bonfim is what's going to do it for him. Yeah. Mixing in the wrestling might help him out.
Yeah, I don't know. Kind of feeling like an underdog pick in this one. Okay, right. Where are we? So Thiago Moises against Melk Costa. How would you say his name? Melchizedek? Stick with Melk Costa. Melchizedek. It's a cool name.
Melchizedek.
So this is a really tough fight. This is a late replacement, isn't it? Moises was supposed to be fighting Goram Kutateladze, if I remember right. Yeah, Kutateladze got injured. So they brought in Melk Costa.
They brought in a lot of people from LFA for this card.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the research has been, yeah.
It's a good feeder show, and it's all on Fight Pass as well, which makes it easier to research him. But I was impressed with this kid, and he looks big as well for lightweight.
Yeah,
like you know what I mean. Like that's something that, like Thiago Moises, he's a formidable opponent, but I could see him looking undersized in this one.
You know what? From this fighter that had happened, he got so he was choked out from Costa. He was choked out and held in it for about more than 90 seconds.
Really?
To where he was rushed to the hospital and he almost died, and he did think he died. And the ref was just looking at the fight. Like, didn't even check. The opponent was looking up like, dude, he's out. He's out. Yeah. But he's still holding it because, you don't want to let go just in case. Yeah. But yeah, it turned out he had to go to the hospital, and it was really, really bad.
Really?
It was quite scary to watch. It makes you want to
slap the referee.
Oh,
yeah, I know that feeling.
Stop the fight.
Newshirt.co.uk. Go and get yourself a t-shirt.
I was just like, well, this is one of those moments where Dan would have been very useful here.
Yeah, or not, maybe. I don't know.
The ref was just literally standing over like he was having a beer, like belly out.
Yeah,
like
I do think sometimes referees forget that they're not a spectator.
It was, oh my God, it just infuriated me so much. Because as a fighter, you kind of go like, I'm going to go out if this choke is too tight. It doesn't matter because I'm going to fight to the end. But you also don't want to fight to the end where there's no oxygen coming to your brain and you're unconscious because you could die.
You want to hope the referee's going to recognize that you're unconscious.
Knows what an unconscious body looks like. But no.
Yeah.
Not all of them do.
So Thiago Moises, 16-6. Melk Costa, 19-5. Of course, Thiago Moises got a lot of UFC experience. So 1 inch height advantage for Costa. I think that's going to look more evident. I don't have a reach on UFC stats for Melk yet. Let me see if it's on his Tapology. 73 inches according to Tapology. But that's not necessarily going to agree with UFC's. UFC's got Moises at 70, so there's a potential reach advantage for Costa. I just thought he looked really big for the weight class. When I was watching it, in my head, I just kind of thought to myself, oh, he's a welterweight. He just looks like he's bigger than a lightweight for sure. I was impressed with him. I thought his striking was crisp. I thought he had a lot of patience. I mean, he's got 24 fights. I think that showed in his performance. I just think that drawing Moises on your UFC debut is really rough. Really rough. Because Moises is that guy, like, if you can get past Moises, most likely you're going to fight for the belt in the future, I think. Like, he's a very, very difficult person to deal with.
Yeah, and he just has great grappling, great back control. And that's something that I feel Costa feels more comfortable in the Muay Thai range and the striking because he's long. He's able to use his kicks, and, he had a spinning back kick in his last fight, and he does have a really good butterfly reversal. Like when the opponents come and take him down, he uses initially that butterfly hook to get the fight over to just reverse position. But if he doesn't get it, he's going to get stuck in that position. And I feel Moises is really good in, on the ground.
Yeah.
Great the back control with getting the fight there with, 4 standing rear naked chokes.
Yeah. I think if I'm Melk Costa, I'm going to try and keep this one as long as possible. Try and keep him on the end of my strikes and beat up his calf and just slow him down and make him easier and safer to hit from a distance. I'm not counting him out at all. I just think it's a really tough fight for Moises. I do think Costa's got a really good shot, but we just don't know what he's like against this level of competition, do we really?
Yeah.
That's the big question, because we kind of know where Moises is at. You know, we know he's got wins over the likes of Michael Johnson and Bobby Green, but then, you know, he wasn't good enough to beat Makhachev. He's got that loss to Joel Alvarez as well. I think if Melk Costa can keep this fight standing and keep it at a distance, I can see him beating Moises. I am going to pick Melk. I'm going to take him by
decision if you pick him. Yeah.
I think by decision.
I think Moises by second round rear naked choke.
You reckon? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like he could.
Sometimes it's difficult with like fighters that are veteran, even if they haven't fought a lot. Kind of like Warley. It depends on what motivation that they have to come in the fight. Because sometimes they show their veteranness, even if it's not fight related. It's just training and time on the mat, and they show it. And other times they don't. They're not really that bothered.
Yeah.
Which is what makes choosing some of these fights difficult, because if you go in the lower circuit, you see a very big difference in level. But when you see a closer difference in level, then personal things start to matter, like motivation or, you know, what's been happening around you, because the level is a lot closer. Yeah, but I'm going to pick Moises.
Oh, yeah. I just kind of... Maybe I'm just in an underdog's mood, but I can see him slowing this fight down and keeping Moises at range, maybe trapped up against the fence, but feeling like Costa's out of reach for him, and then picking him apart from there. I'm picking Melk, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Why not? One for the underdogs. So, where are we? Last couple of prelims. Gregory Rodriguez against Bruno Ferreira.
Yes.
This should be a banger for about 3 minutes. So Ferreira's like all first round finishes, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's replacing Brad Tavares.
Yeah, who's a very, very different fight.
Yeah.
Like I'll be honest, and you know, I've sparred with Brad. He's a very, very skilled fighter, but I would rather fight him than Bruno Ferreira, because he's a wild man. And so one thing I noticed about his Contender Series fight, he was fighting, was it Aliu, who was also quite a powerful individual, and they were both fainting hard and like, because like the thing is, he's so like primed and ready to go that when he bounces to faint, you're like, you've got to believe it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, the chances are he's going to hit you with something on your guard that's going to hurt.
And Rodriguez kind of accepts slugging it out sometimes. Like sometimes when the fight gets into a little bit of a brawl, it's just like he'll stand there and do it. And I don't think he has as much knockout power to where you should roll and take those chances, especially because he's usually the more athletic, mobile guy that can just pick you apart from the outside. Sometimes he accepts being right in the pocket and trading shots with you, which I don't understand why he does that.
I think he needs to treat this one a little bit like his last fight with Chidi and Njokuani. Because, I mean, of course, like Chidi was like feint after feint after feint. It was like constant, but he was patient and he gave him the respect that he deserved, and he bided his time, and he was able to, you know, to get the finish.
Yeah, after he took that knee I mean, if you could take that knee, you could take anything.
But that's the thing, is like against someone like Ferreira, like you're going to have to take shots. And you look at, I mean, he's got 1 second round finish. 2 second round finishes. One of them don't count because it's only 12 seconds in, so he might as well not have gone back to his stool. Like, he's a first round finisher. He's massively aggressive. Like, straight away the game plan is let's show him the second round.
Yeah.
Like, he's not been to the second round since 2019. Like, you don't know where his confidence is at in his conditioning. There's going to be excitement because it's the UFC. The arena's going to be mental. And like, Rodriguez can go through a rough first round, and if he's smart and can go through a rough first round, he's going to be safer than if he's aggressive and goes through a rough first round. The first round's going to be rough regardless.
Yeah, it is.
Because that's the characteristic of the Hulk. But if, you know, where is it? athleticgreens.com/outlawed. Yeah. I kind of feel like Rodriguez can push him into the second round. I feel like he's tough enough and his striking is good enough to be able to weather the storm that he's definitely going to be under. And
And then when you saw him against Marquez, he showed a lot of improvements in his fight against Park, especially in the striking, because his shots were they were just straighter, more to the target, and he was able to just watch and not be so much in a less dogfighted out and more of I'm picking my shots, I'm getting away, and I'm coming back in.
Yeah.
And with Bruno, well, he's a judoka. He's won judo championships, as a kid. So he's gone up with that in various different levels. And I really like when he does that double leg to a hip toss. It's really slick from him. It's kind of like a judo wrestling hybrid, which is what I like from him, or that oblique kick stomping to the leg.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like he's quite small.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if he is. Is he? Well, let's have a look at the stats.
He just
is that
like
your way of
small.
telling me that I need to do this, the stats? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Because it was very subtle. If it was. No. So okay. So, well, I'll just do regular tell of the tape. So 13-4 for Gregory Rodriguez. 9-0 for Ferreira, for Bruno Ferreira. 6'3" compared to 5'10". So
see, small was correct to say.
Yeah, but who were you saying small?
To the little Hulk guy.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah, but 5'10", you're supposed to be, powerful if you're the Hulk. And if he was 6'3", he wouldn't look like the Hulk at this weight class, would he?
Yeah, that's true.
So he's got to be small to be built like that. 5'10". What, Mike Tyson 5'10"? 5'9", 5'10"?
Yeah, probably has Mike Tyson as like some sort of idol. all the short guy with thick legs.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson, he's the best.
I mean, he is the best. You kind of can't argue with that. 5'10" for Ferreira. He also got a 3-inch reach disadvantage as well. That check hook that he landed on the Contender Series as the counter to the low kick was good though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I do feel again. I feel like if Rodriguez is engaging too much in the first round, I just think if he's smart and if he makes himself available to be hit, but he's defensive, he's going to make Ferreira work, bring him into the second round, and then he can start to work a little bit, open himself up a little bit. And, it wouldn't surprise me if these guys get into a dogfight in the late second, early third round. But
that's more when you want to get,
exactly.
When
that's
when
Ferreira's
it's
tired.
Yeah, it's a bit better.
Yeah, because then you're making him work even harder than he wants to when he's already tired. And
yeah. Izzy talked about fighting Rodriguez, He's like,
Did he?
I'd like to fight him. He seems like a good guy. And he keeps posting that he looks like Obama. I saw a little comparison of him and Obama, and I was just like, I see it. Like a buff Obama.
So I won't go through the rest of the stats because obviously they're not particularly accurate given the fact that Ferreira's are only based on one fight. But 10.1 strikes landed per minute kind of shows you what you're up against in the first round. But Gregory Rodriguez, with all of his fights, he's still 6.19 strikes per minute.
Yeah,
which is a
really
lot.
Quick.
It's a good striking output.
Yeah,
I'm picking Rodriguez. I think he's going to be smart enough to get into the second round and start to wear Ferreira out. And I think Ferreira's going to be tired and struggling at the end of the second.
Faux show.
Yeah. Should be a fun one, that one, though, for sure. And I think Ferreira's a really interesting. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Darko Stosic. They're like mirror images of one another from other sides of the world. That'd be a good one. And then you've got the grappling on the backside of that. Yeah, that'd be a good fight. Okay, right. Main event of the prelims.
Yes.
The last fight of Shogun. Mauricio Hua, where is he?
Oh my God. During this...
There he is. He's up there on the wall. Of course he is.
Before we started, I was like 100%. Dan is gonna point at the old Pride Day Shogun Rua and just say, "Look, it's Shogun Rua, so I'm gonna go for him."
You keep saying Rua. The whole MMA community is gonna
Hua, whatever.
This is gonna what's the word?
And I just said Shogun.
Shogun Mauricio Shogun Hua.
Yeah.
Against go on, you say his opponent's name. Ihor Potieria.
Yeah, it translates to Thor.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, on Fight Pass, I kept putting his name, and I was just like, one more time, it changes to Thor.
Oh, you mean autocorrect?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just go with Thor. I just tell people it's Thor. Ihor Potieria, who's a good fighter. Bit of an odd opportunity for him here to fight Shogun in his retirement fight. I kind of want to watch Shogun fight someone else that's like
Yeah, but if you saw him go against Nurmagomedov,
yeah, no,
that's the best I've said his name.
Nurmagomedov, yeah. No, I understand. I can see why they've matched it that way, but it's just, I don't know. It just seems it seems like a gift opportunity for a young fighter to add a name like Shogun to his record.
Yes,
is
absolutely.
What I mean. Like Shogun should fight one of the old boys. You know?
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
It's kind of like what you were saying about Nate Diaz and Hamzat.
Yeah. Wrong generations.
Exactly.
We're crossing timelines here. That don't work for me. Like he should be fighting someone of a previous generation for sure. I mean, you could say that about Glover Teixeira as well, though, I suppose.
Yeah, but Glover's
he's a bit of an anomaly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would just rather see him fight someone else that's kind of legendary.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
I don't know. Pateria looks good, and I can see why the UFC have matched, to increase Shogun's chances of winning. But
yeah, because he got taken down by Georgi. How do you say his name?
Who's he?
Pretoria.
Yes.
Whatever. That guy. Like,
what?
People need more simple names for me. Like fighter A, fighter B. That should be the names.
Yeah.
But he was taken down against the fence and in the open in round 1, and in round 2. But at least I feel like he might be fresher during the fight, and that younger fighter might come out, and help him out.
The thing I don't like about this fight is that Shogun's going to really want to strike, and this guy doesn't move like a normal striker. He kind of is a bit more Yuri in his movement. He kind of darts, and that's not good for an old boy like Shogun. You need someone that fights old school like Shogun does.
Yeah, like you're used to it. And
like him against Nogueira, like would they fight 3 times? Like that would be the right kind of opponent for him. Like bring Dan Henderson out of retirement or something. I don't know. It just seems like they're putting him in there against someone that's got so much to gain by beating someone like Shogun.
Of course.
And see, the thing is, I feel like they've tried to do this before to Shogun. I feel like they've tried to give him someone like when they gave him Paul Craig. I feel like they gave him Paul Craig because they were thinking this is a fight that he can win, because Paul Craig only likes to fight off his back.
Yes.
And if Shogun can keep it on the feet, he can get a win. Wasn't that fight wasn't their first one in Brazil as well? I think it was
a draw.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I don't know. I know I can see that they're trying to do him a bit of a favor here by giving him someone that has got a skill set that he can exploit, but I don't think he's going to try and exploit that skill set.
Yeah, I think I was at that event.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm picking Pateria.
I am as well.
I feel a bit awkward about this one, because I'd like to. I wouldn't mind if Shogun loses. I just wouldn't mind seeing him get to the bell. Yeah. Like be healthy and get to the bell. Like that was the bad thing about Brad Pickett's fight against Cheeto. It wasn't that he lost the fight. It's that he got knocked out. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He got dropped that head kick, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It just kind of felt like.
Well, like Frankie Edgar.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it happens, doesn't it? Didn't Randy Couture in his retirement fight get front kicked by Machida? I think he did.
Yeah.
I think he was like, last fight of my career, I got my front tooth knocked out.
I was on Instagram, because sometimes like I'll look at the fighters to see if they posted anything, like where they're training and something.
Yeah.
And it was Rua soccer kicking Rampage, and I was just like, oh my god, so much violence.
He was an absolute animal back in the day, Shogun was. And he was like the new generation back in the day, because the generation that came before him was Vanderlei.
Yeah.
Like it was Vanderlei, and he was the representative of shootbox. And then, there were a few other ones that, like Anderson Silva was part of shootbox at the time. And, there were a few other ones, but like after Vanderlei, everyone was so excited about Vanderlei because of the fights that he had with Sakuraba and stuff. But then all of a sudden there was Shogun Rua. And then there was Ninja as well, who was his brother, and they were both really good. But those early days of Shogun, like flying in with head stomps and stuff. I
think the problem is that these rule sets don't allow stomps
You reckon?
or like soccer kicks to the
Maybe
head.
they should have released him and he could have gone over to like Ryzen in Japan or something.
Yeah.
Do they still allow soccer kicks there? I don't think they do they?
Oh, do they not?
They do. No, I don't. Anywhere has soccer kicks now, aside from football.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was special back in the day. Shogun was. He was a wild man.
I see what you did there.
he was a wild man. He was so much fun to watch. Pride Total Elimination. I had that poster on the Jim Wall in there. Yeah, but yeah, I'm just playing through some of these fights in my head now. Ricardo Arona stopped him 2 minutes 54. Alistair Overeem, first round, but 6 minutes 42 because it was Pride. They were great fights. They were. It was like that was his career, you know what I mean? It was like he had that career. Like, what was he? What was his record? 15-2 coming into the UFC. Oh, he was brilliant. I feel kind of sad because it's his retirement fight, and kind of sad because he's not fighting somebody else that is retiring as well.
Yeah.
And I can't help but pick against him because I feel like he's going to try and strike and he's going to be too slow. And I think Patera is going to be chaotic, hard to judge where he's going to be. And this would be a massive win for him.
If you kind of knew that Rua was going to take it to the ground and just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu him, then I'd be more tempted to go for Rua.
But then the thing is, it's like I wouldn't have expected Nega Mariani to be able to do that to him, to be honest.
Yeah.
You know? He's got a good submission game on his record. He's got rear naked chokes and heel hooks, and you know, I've got to unfortunately go with him. But I feel like Shogun's just not going to make good decisions. He's going to want a big knockout finish, and he's going to end up getting caught with something. Ugh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next one.
Right. So first fight of the main card, right?
I believe so.
Yes, first fight of the main card. Paul Craig, Johnny Walker.
Yeah.
Really difficult one to pick. I'm kind of leaning towards Johnny Walker, if I'm honest, because I feel like he's got confident, explosive striking. I feel like Paul's never really particularly comfortable on his feet, and I think that Johnny Walker's going to be smart enough to not tangle with Paul Craig's guard.
Yeah, and he's starting to kind of like settle down, and that's starting to show in his game. Because I feel like when you transfer to the gym, sometimes it takes a little bit for that style to sink in, especially when there's so much chaos, like in Johnny Walker, that you have to go back to teaching him some fundamentals to help that better improve.
Yeah.
But sometimes it takes away from a little bit of what made him so successful.
Yeah.
So I feel like right now he's more in a better point in that, where it's all starting to show.
He's integrated more of it into his game, for sure.
There we go. Just one word. And
yeah, for sure.
I just explain for like 10 minutes.
I mean, you watch his fight against Nikita Krylov, and that was the show that you fought on last. It was a weird one because it was like he's a performer and there was no crowd there, and he was already coming off that knockout loss to Corey Anderson, so he was not in a great spot. It wasn't a good fight for him. He was drowned over 5 rounds, wasn't he, against 3 rounds against Krylov.
Yeah, but that was after like that shoulder injury and him. Yeah. I felt like physically he's gotten a lot smaller.
Yeah, and then Ryan Spann dropped him a couple of times, didn't he, before he ended up cracking Ryan Spann with those elbows.
Yeah, and Ryan Spann, I don't know why he kept going for that takedown when he was doing great, and he just sort of stayed there until he got.
Or was it Saif Saud in the corner screaming about those elbows being illegal? Or the hammer fists? Were they hammer fists? Yeah.
Well, they're kind of both.
The weird thing about Johnny Walker, and if I'm Paul Craig, I'm thinking to myself, well, I could add a knockout win to my record here, because Johnny Walker's got this weird habit of getting knocked out like 2 or 3 times in the same fight. Like sometimes he can come back, but for whatever reason, he gets dropped really bad a lot of the time.
Yes.
Like there's one fight before he's in the UFC. I think he gets dropped 4 times in the round. It's I don't know. He just doesn't seem to be able to. He doesn't seem to be able to take a clean punch at all. He seems to be able to recover well from them. But then, like say he gets clipped, Paul Craig might not let him back up to his feet or follow him to the ground to strike. He might jump on him and be on his back, or I don't know. I'm kind of feeling like Johnny Walker might be able to keep this one standing though. Yeah,
I just feel like recent losses have all been by KO or an extended decision, which will be difficult for Paul Craig to get because of his style. Like when he fought Volkan, just if your style is to get somebody and pull guard to like overhook, try to get a triangle, try to get some sort of submission. If it works, great, you won. But then if it goes to the scorecards,
you've lost.
Yeah, it's quite a dangerous. And I think he has a lot better striking than we've seen. But maybe
I just think he's confident to use it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Johnny
the
Walker's the one that's like overpowering with his confidence in that.
But I mean, he has calmed down a bit, Johnny Walker, but he's still got that confidence to go if he needs to. And I think that's where Paul Craig's going to find himself feeling under pressure, even if he's not. And I think that might make his takedowns easier to defend for Johnny Walker. I think I'm going to go with Walker. I would like to see Paul Craig do well in this one, but
Paul Craig keeps winning fights he shouldn't. That's the thing about Paul Craig. You know, like they give him somebody that they want to build up instead of Paul Craig, and like Ankalaev.
Yeah.
Here's an example.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Jamal Hill that's fighting for the belt. You know.
Oh, that was wicked, wasn't it?
That was nasty.
Dislocation.
Yeah, but it's like he wins these fights where people are like, "Oh, yeah, this is a good fight for me because he's just going to do this, and I know."
Yeah.
And then he catches them.
Yeah.
So that's.
So then, do you think Johnny Walker's going to be confident that he can not get triangled and still try and ground and pound him from guard?
I wouldn't try with Paul Craig. Like
I'd be going for that shoulder with the scar on it. If I was Paul Craig, I'd be trying to get a Kimura trap on that and wrench that.
Oh, maybe now you put that into perspective. I changed my pick.
Yeah, are you going Johnny Walker then? Are you? You think Johnny Walker's going to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me sad because Paul's my buddy.
Well, I'm going to pick Paul Craig then.
No, you're going to make me seem like an ass. You've been saying, I was never going to talk to me.
I just like to pick opposite you sometimes. I just like to pick opposite.
I hate these picks, man.
I just like to pick opposite.
Feel like at the end of it, people are just like, you're the worst because you said this. I literally, that's the whole point of the show. Look, I have to. I
think this is a hard fight for Paul Craig because Johnny Walker's big and confident and he moves at speed with confidence and with power. There are very few avenues in this fight for Paul Craig to win, for sure. And I was leaning towards Johnny Walker, but when you said that, you've kind of changed my mind actually. When you said that because people look at Paul Craig and think I should win, then they put themselves in positions where he can catch him. Yeah, absolutely.
And in all the fights that it's just kind of except for Jamal Hill where he just pulled guard. Yeah. But in those other fights that I'm talking about, he was getting punched quite a bit. Like he's made a whole meme about it. Like he has to get punched in order to get these submissions because people think he's almost out and then he catches you. And then when Johnny Walker fought Ion Kuchilava, he defended that arm attack well that Ion went for. But I felt like if Paul Craig would have had that opportunity, he would have gotten it. You know? But then is he going to be put in that same position where he can get it? That's what.
And was that enough of a warning for him to make a decision to not go there at all?
Yeah. I feel like Johnny Walker just has to not like floor lava.
Yeah.
Don't touch it.
Yeah. So you're going Johnny Walker, are you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Paul would have had a different fight against Volkan, because I felt like he could have won that.
Yeah, he could have absolutely won that.
He could have won that, and I was so annoyed. Because
I just feel like he's lacking confidence in his striking when he doesn't need to, because his striking's good.
Yes.
Like we've seen him work, we've seen him hit pads. He's got good technical striking. He's a big dude. He's a big, powerful individual. If he started kicking Johnny Walker's arms and body, he could damage him. He could do damage, but the thing is, the thing that's odd about it is the reason why most people don't like be aggressive with their striking is because of takedowns.
Yeah, and he pulls guard anyway.
And that's where he wants to be. So be aggressive. Like throw loads of kicks. Like he should be wailing on Johnny Walker with body kicks, hoping that he catches something to fall into his guard.
Yeah, I just felt like if he would have done that with Volkan, he would have won.
Yeah,
like it was a fight for him to win.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And I just kind of looked and I don't know if it's because he's talking about like retiring soon.
He has been for a while though, hasn't he?
Yeah, like I feel like I mention this every time it comes up, but. But if that's in your mind, it's also something, like I said, when the level gets kind of close, you have to maybe look a little bit at where they're at.
Yeah. No, I'm going to pick Paul Craig.
Okay.
I'm gonna be confident that he will have confidence to throw hard kicks and find himself
on Tapology. It's 49 Craig, 51 Walker.
Is it really? Yeah.
And it's 77% submission for Craig and 79 by knockout for Walker.
Yeah.
So it's basically how we're feeling.
What are the stats on this one? Yeah, Johnny Walker's big as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's big.
So we've got 16-5 for Paul Craig, 19-7 for Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker's got a 3-inch height advantage at 6'6", and a 6-inch reach advantage at 82. That's a heavyweight build Johnny Walker's got there.
Yeah.
And he's springy and explosive and wild and confident, and it's a hard fight for Paul Craig. I'm going to have confidence, but
I mean, he's done things that he shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's come on top.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be Johnny Walker does the eyebrow thing and his war paint. And
I can't pick against 2 Lego collectors on the card because unfortunately, I might give away my co-main event pick, but
I'm going to get no new updates on Lego sets.
That's it. No, that's it. That's it. Okay, moving on.
Yes.
Right. Lauren Murphy against Jessica Andrade. So, tail of the tape, 16-5 for Lauren Murphy, 23-9 for Jessica Andrade. 4-inch height advantage and a 5-inch reach advantage for Lauren Murphy. But, of course, that doesn't make much difference to Jessica Andrade because she's going to be right in her face.
Yeah.
Throwing bombs and probably trying to body lock her and slam her to the floor, even if she didn't want to follow her to the floor. I think she's going to be overly aggressive. I think she's going to work the body a lot like she did against Chikagian.
Yeah, that's a shot off the break that you were talking about.
Yeah,
not a lot
exactly.
of people do it.
People don't.
I saved it for this moment.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did. I could have said it then, but then we would have gone off topic. Yeah, and here we are.
We'd have been jumping way ahead. I think Andrade is a handful for Lauren Murphy, and I think Lauren Murphy's got good skills, but I think she can be overpowered in this fight for sure. I do think she can be overpowered.
Well, she did fight Tate, who was at 135 and then went down to 125, but I felt maybe the 125 didn't help Tate's power out. No. I just feel like it kind of took a lot out of her.
Yeah, I also feel like Tate wrestles and grapples out of panic sometimes, and not because she's going to feel like she's going to dominate the fight there. Yeah. And that's where the mindset of Jessica Andrade is just difficult to discourage her.
Yes. Yes.
And, Lauren Murphy's kind of, I think in her head, she was talking about this on the way to getting a title shot. She was talking about how, it's like time's running out a little bit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Whereas I could quite easily see Jessica Andrade fighting for the belt again at some point.
Yeah, and Andrade is always, she's one of those fighters that motivation really helps her out. Like when she fought Karolina
Kowalkiewicz.
Yeah, when she fought her, I remember speaking to her about it, and she was really excited about the knockout. I remember her showing me and being like, "Oh, I trained so hard for that. I trained really, really hard for that." And man, training is hard. So you're not always going to train with the same intensity. And she really wanted that. And I feel being in Brazil, being home, that's going to really motivate her to just go forward. What I do like about Murphy is that she applied to Tate what Shevchenko applied to her. Mm-hmm. That made sense. It's just oh, okay, every time that seems to work. Every time somebody comes in, I'll just throw a jab and I'll get him and I'll move and I'll start scoring up to the point where you get more desperate and you start making more mistakes. Mm-hmm. So she can use that against Jessica Andrade, scoring the jab, moving around, scoring the jab, where in the beginning it might get hard, but then kind of try and discourage her. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like Andrade is more of a, oh, well, if I have to take a jab, I'm going to take 10 if I'm going to put my hands on you,
That's the thing is I think that works when you've been able to discourage somebody.
Yes.
A few times. Like Rose was able to, in the split decision. She was in the I've lost my mind.
The slam?
No, in the fight, the split decision loss that she had to Rose Namajunas. The game plan that Rose used. Back up and jab and move and jab and move and keep circling. So she's constantly just marching forward.
Yeah.
Because she does literally walk one foot after the next if you're backing up away from her. You know what I mean? She's so confident to walk into close range. She's coming off that standing arm triangle against Amanda Lemos as well. So she's going to feel like she can punch her way into a clinch and still finish fights right there close.
Yeah.
And I don't think she's going to look at Lauren Murphy like, oh, I need to give her respect, especially if she walked Lemos down.
Yeah, but I felt Lemos was doing great with the striking range. And it was just because she closed in. But also, I liked how she kept it and she kept going, because a lot of people would just let go and gone to something else. Yeah. But she kept it and adjusted it and adjusted it. And it was like, Lemos is like, no way, I'm going to tap to this. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
It's kind of like one of those things where you don't get caught twice.
Yeah.
But she got caught in it.
Yeah. And the thing is, like that could have worked out really terribly, because, you know, if she'd have not got that submission, she could have expended a lot of energy. But then I don't ever really see her struggling with her gas tank.
Nah, I feel like she trains real hard.
Right, she's foot to the ground the majority of the time, and she doesn't seem to slow down. So I don't even know as Lauren Murphy can bank on tiring her out. I mean, this is a 3-round fight. I think over 5 rounds we might see Lauren Murphy if she could push her into those championship rounds to wear on her that way. But
yeah,
she's not going to tire her out in 15 minutes.
And Jessica, if she doesn't get the takedowns, it doesn't have to be the primary part of her game. She could strike and like out bully Lauren Murphy, which is something that Murphy takes a lot of advantage of with her opponents trying to get the fight to the ground. She discourages them with good takedown defense, good underhooks, good changing of angles, and then striking to the point where it's helping her out. But with Andrade, it's a bit like Nunes. She's just, she's coming to take your head.
Yeah, yeah. And she's got she reaches less, I think, than Nunes. Like, Nunes throws long, straight punches, and because she really pitches into her crosses, whereas Andrade is comfortable being in hooking range all the time. I think Andrade's going to do it. I think she's going to stop her.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a body shot that starts the process as well. You know, bang, 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 body shot, Murphy goes down against the fence, and then TKO finish up against the fence. I could definitely see that happening. It's a fun fight. I'm looking forward to it. I think Lauren Murphy is easy to underestimate.
Absolutely.
But I don't think Andrade's going to underestimate her, but I don't think she's going to hold back because she has too much respect for her.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Which way are you going?
Andrade.
You going Andrade as well? Yeah.
1 second.
Got a bit chilly. Yeah, it is a little bit chilly in there, isn't it? Okay. This is a very difficult fight to pick, I think. So,
Gilbert Burns.
co-main event. Gilbert Burns against Neil Magny. Now, as soon as I look at this fight, I think to myself, well, Gilbert Burns, he's a better grappler and he's got big power. He's gives up the height and reach advantage, but he's most likely going to be able to get to his chin at some point. But then I remember back to watching Neil Magny fight people like Hendricks and Lombard and thinking they're going to crack him in a minute. He's going to fall over.
Yeah.
He's going to get knocked out like a baby giraffe here, but he's just able
giraffe.
to. Yeah, sometimes tall people fall like baby giraffes, don't they? I always underestimate Neil Magny's toughness because he's so quietly spoken and he's so kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's so nice.
He's got a bit of like an apologetic tone to him.
Yeah.
And then Gilbert Burns is, one of the nicest guys you'll meet.
His videos with Tate are so funny with the cut man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just always messing around and like trying to get takedowns on each other. Yeah, it's great. I love to watch. Magny's last fight was pretty cool. How he got that Darce against Robert Daniel Rodriguez.
Yes.
Yeah.
D-Rod. But then the thing is, it's like that's where his ground game comes into question, because you see him do really well against Rodriguez and then struggle with Shavkat, and I can't imagine him having his way on the ground with Gilbert Burns.
Yeah, he just feels like he's really explosive. Like if you get something on him, he's just going to bully his way out, and obviously has the technical abilities.
His technical ability is amazing to go with his power and athleticism.
Exactly, and. Yeah, but Magny's really long and kind of it helps him. There's a lot of, like Terrence McKinney, like his frame helps him get to the back, maintain a hook, and then you're trying to free that hook, but it's difficult because the dude's legs is really long. So you're like freeing it and it's still, it's still holding on to some point.
If I'm Gilbert Burns, though, I would rather grapple with someone that's built like Magny than somebody else that's built like me.
Yeah, I guess for...
Right? Because like if you're Gilbert Burns and you're grappling with if you're a good grappler and you're grappling with Gilbert Burns, you're working against like short limbs and a thick neck. You know what I mean?
He's got a thick
neck. I mean, we're looking at the stats here. So it's 20 wins and 5 losses for Gilbert Burns, 27 wins and 10 losses for Magny, 5'10" compared to 6'3", and 71-inch reach compared to 80. So Magny's got a 9-inch reach advantage.
Yeah.
But like
something he uses well.
Yeah, he does.
Because he like elongates his punches and he keeps you at the end of, at the range. And
if I'm Magny, I'm trying to replicate that jab that Usman used that upset his movement. You know what I mean? Because Burns does tend to wing his shots and he has got a shorter reach. Magny might be able to keep spearing him with that jab, just bam, bam, and just keep him on that distance and maybe trying to get him to overcommit. Knees up the centre line as well are going to be useful for Magny. The only downside to that is that it makes him a bit easier to body lock if the knee doesn't land.
Yes.
But I could see Magny catching him with knees in this fight because Burns is so kind of low and swinging and, he opens up his midsection when he throws his punches. And
yeah, it was Usman and Hooker that caught him with a punch down the line, which if you look at Hooker's, I guess, body type, it's kind of like Neil Magny.
Yeah. Neil Magny's obviously a decent bit bigger.
Yeah, but I mean, like
range-wise for sure,
rangy fighter in comparison.
She's a funny little dog. Okay,
but do you think the grappling? Because I don't know. I like the way he fought Stephen Thompson. Right, he was really smart. It took him down where he needed to, controlled him, and won the fight by a decision. But then Magny's just so good at mixing everything up, and just like staying in the fight. But then I think about when he fought Dos Anjos, where he got low kicked and just like bullied down. And those are also the fights that I'm like, oh,
yeah,
Magny's a hard one to really know which way to go.
Yeah, and I can see Gilbert Burns being able to take him down and dominate him on the mat. I can. Skill-wise, strength-wise, absolutely. And if RDA was able to do it, I mean, I know it was a long time ago. It was 2017. He's definitely gotten better since then, for sure. But we still saw Shavkat manhandle him.
Yeah.
And I think that I think that Gilbert Burns is going to be able to do the same thing. If you're Magny, you've got to keep this one standing. I think. Like maybe I don't. That's the thing is like, say if you catch Gilbert Burns with a knee on the way in, you catch him and you drop him. I still don't think I would attack him submissions. I still think I would let him get back up. I don't even think I would try and follow him to the floor just to risk getting tangled up.
Yeah,
it would make more sense for Magny just to treat this like a kickboxing match with takedown defense. Keep him on the feet. Keep him on the end of that jab. And try and walk him onto his knee. Yeah,
but what about when Gilbert Burns throws like a winging overhand and tries to close distance no matter what?
Well, I mean, that's because the thing is that's going to happen, right? It's the same thing because like we've got Lineker and Andrade fighting again on one fight night 7, I think it is. I'm going to do a breakdown on it. Same thing with that. Like, that Lineker's going to close distance and wing big punches over the top. And Andrade knew it, and he timed him perfectly to run onto that knee. And, of course, that's the speciality of Andrade anyway. But I just feel like if I'm looking for routes for Neil Magny to win, that's the smart way to go because Burns does wing his shots. And if he can keep disrupting him with that jab and he can find the rhythm to where his solar plexus is going to be when he's throwing that overhand right or that big left hook, I think he might be able to catch him with it. But I'm still going with Gilbert Burns. I think Burns is going to be able to close him down, take him down, and probably take his back, choke him.
Yeah,
I could see a Gilbert Burns rear naked choke here.
I wonder how he is after the fight with Khamzat though, like what he took from it and how he's going to show up on this one.
I think he would have taken a lot of confidence from it. I mean, he was able to push Khamzat in ways that other people hadn't. It was a clash of heads that put Khamzat on a knee, but still, Khamzat should be fighting at middleweight.
Yeah.
And Magny's not going to be able to put any kind of pressure on him like Chimaev's able to. Like strength-wise, I don't think Magny's going to come close. Wrestling, certainly not. So what's Gilbert Burns got to deal with if it hits the floor is submissions, and that's what he does. And it's submissions against a guy that's got really long limbs that, yes, could be really good at wrapping up darces and anacondas, but can also be very easy to control because of his long limbs.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I would rather grapple someone that's built like Magny than someone that's built like Burns, you know, just because like all those high level grapplers that are balls of muscle, you know, even if they're up against someone like a Braulio or a Roger Gracie who's long and rangy, they're still able to stall them out in a lot of ways because of their muscularity and strength.
Yeah.
And the fact that Burns is built like that and he's technically the better grappler, I'm going with Gilbert Burns. You're on the fence. I'm surprised. I thought you'd be going for Gilbert Burns.
Yes. Maybe it's a little bit because Magny's my friend, so.
Right.
I don't know how much this is playing
Explain that to Paul Craig.
Well, yeah, it was hard, that Paul Craig fight as well. But it was just, yeah, I can just see those like straight shots down the center with the knees, and Gilbert Burns kind of getting a little bit gassed because he used a lot of his muscle to get the fight to the ground. Really excited about Rio. Nah, okay, I'm gonna go for Burns.
Yeah.
Like
if Neil Magny's able to put a performance together similar to the one against Hector Lombard, then absolutely, that was a really impressive performance because Lombard's a lethal individual, very strong, very powerful, but his work rate's not the same level as Burns, which allowed Magny to have little breathers to like maintain his composure.
Yeah, but Magny does have really high pace.
Oh yeah, no, he
just
does.
Like keeps going and going, and I feel like that's kind of how he got that submission against Rodriguez.
For sure, but you look at the stats and there's not that much of a difference in it, to be honest. So we did the height and reach, didn't we? So we've got 3.46 strikes per minute for Burns and 3.62 for Magny. So only 0.2 of a difference there. Takedown average per 15 minutes, Magny's higher at 2.43. But Gilbert Burns has got 2 on average per 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of outweighed by Burns doubling Magny's submission average. But still, I think, if I'm Burns, I'm looking at Magny, I'm thinking he's got a long neck, he's got long limbs, I can wrap a Kimura up, I can wrap his neck up. And any DARS that Neil Magny or any Anaconda or anything that Gilbert Burns gets caught in by Magny is going to be so much easier to escape because of those long limbs, I would feel.
Because Burns got no neck.
Because Burns has got no neck.
It's just going to go like straight over.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
I'm picking
Burns
Gilbert
as well.
Burns. I think Gilbert Burns is going to be able to sub him. I'm looking forward to that fight, though, for sure. That's one of those fights that I definitely make sure I want to be sat down for when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, co-main event.
Co-main event.
The first quadrilogy in the UFC.
Dun, dun, dun.
Davison Figueiredo,
the
current champion, taking on the interim champ, Brandon Moreno.
Okay.
Okay, so 21-2, or 21-2-1 for Figueiredo. 26-2 for Brandon Moreno. 2-inch height advantage for Moreno, 2-inch reach advantage for Moreno. Figueiredo's a monster.
He is.
I mean, I've done a war room on this, so go and make sure you check the war room out. I get into this quite a bit in the war room because obviously I researched it for the breakdown show as well. So if you can get the breakdown show, then check it out. If you can't, then get a VPN and you can check it out. Really, really interesting fight this is for a lot of different reasons because it's not like any of the other fights were particularly similar. You know, they both swayed back and forth, and you know we've got one really dominant win by Brandon Moreno, which I felt like was
the best performance of his life
for sure. But
will be.
Yeah, probably will be, exactly. And that's the thing, is it probably will be the best performance of his career.
He was just so focused in that fight. He's just like, eye on the target. I'm not making one mistake. I'm kind of like Hitman, sort of.
For sure. And he was like that, and Figueiredo was in a different place confidence-wise. Because he was on top of the world coming off the Perez fight, called out Brandon Moreno, and then had a really rough 5 rounds. And even though he won, you know, it was a draw on the scorecards, and it was a draw because of the point deduction. I think Figueiredo had a bit of a wake-up call in that first Moreno fight. And I think after that, he got 6 months to kind of dwell on it and be like, okay, I overextended. I got tired. I need to be more patient. I need to respect this kid's speed this time around. And then the second fight comes out and he's like casually like playing around and throwing some kicks. He looked like he'd gone way too far the opposite direction.
Yes.
The first fight, he was too aggressive. The second fight, he was too passive. You know? And it was like his passivity and Moreno's confidence being on a high created this perfect storm for Moreno to have the best performance. And I feel like the third fight was Figueiredo kind of realizing himself again.
Okay.
Even though Moreno did good things like the counter with the counter right hands to the low kicks and stuff, you know, he had a good second round until Figueiredo got himself back on track. I feel like Figueiredo he's slowly edging towards better performances against Moreno. If you take the second fight out of there, you go first fight, third fight, rematch. You go, he won the first fight but lost because of the point deduction. He won the second fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my feeling is that if you take the second fight out entirely, the pattern's going, Figueiredo is going to get better at beating Brandon Moreno each time. Beat him the first time but wasn't very good at it. Beat him the second time a bit better at it. Third time will be better.
So how do you feel about... Because I think this kind of plays a big part in... They're both in a very weird situation with their camps. Because Figueiredo, for that third fight, he went out and trained with Henry, and that was like a big thing. Coming into the fight, he defended body locks a lot better, and just overall made really smart decisions. But it doesn't seem like he really trained with Henry for this one, that he was just back at home.
He's probably sick of the dude, that's why. I'm sure, Henry, I'm sure you're lovely. We have a vacuum cleaner named after you at the gym as well. Similar height. I don't know. The thing is, right? Of course, you know, the realization of wrestling in that fight was a big part of the reason why he was able to win the third fight against Moreno. You know, his counter wrestling that Moreno was able to take the initiative on in the first fight. But I don't know how much of that was Cejudo. I don't know how much of that was him coaching or just advising.
Yeah, but sometimes that's just the big difference that you don't see that you make. Goes the difference between like a good sparring day and a bad sparring day.
For sure.
You don't even realize, but somebody goes like, oh, this time you put your jab out there first.
Exactly, and that's my point. Is he may have been sparring for ages and never been able to land his jab. And then someone walks in the room and they go, oh, well, you can't land your jab because you're showing them your backhand first. And they goes, oh.
Yeah.
And now it's in there. It's like, oh, well, I can do that now. Now you've pointed that out to me, I can't unsee it, right? So I kind of feel like Figueiredo's got that relationship with Cejudo. Like I don't feel like Cejudo's going to add a massive amount technically to his wrestling game because I don't know if Figueiredo's that bothered. I feel like he wanted solutions to the problem that Moreno was giving him, and the solution was to wrestle first.
Yes.
Right? I mean, his wrestling wasn't any better. He got two takedowns in the first fight and 2 takedowns in the second fight. The only difference was he went for 4 takedowns in the first fight and 11 in the third fight.
Yeah.
So his effort had changed, absolutely, but his success rate wasn't that much different. And I feel like, I still feel like Figueiredo looks at Moreno like, I should be able to knock this kid out. Like, if I land clean, I should be able to knock him out. He dropped him in the third fight. He knows he can hurt him now, right? And he's got that timing of Moreno stepping in on the jab. So I feel like, for me, Figueiredo knows that he can win rounds easier than Moreno can. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he realizes he doesn't have to do nearly as much work as Moreno does to win the rounds.
Yeah, because he's just physically
because he's powerful.
Yeah.
Crack him a few times with those body kicks, hit him a few times in the calf, and then start working his body with the hooks coming up to the head. And if Moreno starts to feel like he's under pressure, expect him to try and body lock.
Yes.
Like, I feel like it's quite a simple game plan for Figueiredo, and I feel like if he's able to maintain his composure, which in my opinion is his biggest challenge, he's going to be able to just kind of systematically beat Moreno up for 5 rounds. And yes. I feel like Moreno might be in the fight, but not in the rounds enough to win them.
Yeah, right?
I
see what you mean. Well, another thing that kind of like concerns me about Moreno is that cut under his eye. It didn't heal that great. I remember when I spoke to him in
against
Paris.
Kai Kara-France, the one from the elbow.
Yeah, when I saw him in Paris, I was like, "Ooh, that's not healing nicely." You're not going Alistair Overeem like that heel in like a week with a lip. No, it looked.
Yeah, that was weird. How quickly he healed.
Yeah,
that was weird.
And even in the pictures, you see the scar quite heavily, and I'm scared that might open up very quickly in the fight.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Because I think he talked about having some sort of injury before the Kai Kara-France fight, and that just happened to reopen it.
Right.
So
it was a good shot as well from Kai Kara-France that did it.
Yeah, but if that's the case, then it's just going to go more downhill. Kind of like what you say about Nate Diaz, the amount of scar tissue.
Yeah.
And it's in quite a weak skin area, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. And somewhere that he's going to be, it's this side, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's somewhere that he's going to be getting caught a lot by that right hand of Figueiredo, because he's so tight with this guard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is the side that's going to take the most heat, I would say.
And plus, like, his training has been different now.
Yeah. I mean, the disruption because of the James Krause thing. But in his interview with, I think it was Ariel the other day he was speaking to, he didn't seem too bothered about it. He was like, yeah, we found out, and I had a conversation with Krause, and and then he's moved over to save Saud, which I think is a good move for him. But he also said his game plan was already set. So I think in Moreno's head, especially after they've had 3 fights, I think he knows how he has to fight to beat Figueiredo. I still think it's a real uphill battle for Moreno. Like I just think he's underpowered, and I feel like that's evident to the judges, especially because they're sitting so close.
Yes.
I talk about this on the War Room a little bit, but when you're right octagon side and you can see that bag of swelling on the calf, and then you see someone kick that, you're not even noticing the counter shots they're getting hit with. You're like, yeah, exactly. I feel like Figueiredo has that kind of, like I've been octagon side a couple of times when there was a fight in Australia that I was commentating, and the referee stopped it because the sound of the punches that were landing was so poof, poof. It was like he just had enough. It didn't help that it was like 7 o'clock in the morning as well, and no one had really kind of adjusted for face punching just yet.
Yeah, it's pretty
early.
And
this fight happened, and I can't remember who it was now. And he just got caught up against the fence, and his opponent was unloading big, powerful shots, and the referee just stepped in because the impact of the shots sounded,
nasty.
Yeah, it was. But I feel the same thing happens when Figueiredo fights Moreno. Is when Moreno lands, it's easy for Figueiredo to recognise it because he gets hit with it, but the judges aren't feeling the same kind of impact as they do when Figueiredo lunges in with that big left hook to the body, or the calf kick, or the left body kick.
Well, wasn't it that third round that I felt like Moreno was comfortably winning, and then he got dropped? And
third round in the third fight, yeah.
And all judges scored it for Figueiredo there.
But see, so that was an interesting one, because the second round of their fourth fight was the only round. Sorry, jeez. The second round of their third fight was the only round that Moreno won on all the scorecards in that fight. But then you look at the third round, and I would say that Moreno was winning that round up until that massive right hand that landed and dropped him.
Yeah.
And it was within the last 30 seconds of the round, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe
like
less.
15 seconds.
Like 10 seconds.
And I picked it out on the breakdown show as well, because he dropped him with that and went straight into a front headlock position for the last few seconds.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the round, he stood up and he pushed Moreno and turned around and walked back to his corner. And Moreno stood up and he looked at him as he was walking away, and then he turned around and he kind of looked up and he did this like weird shrug, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I'll get him." And it just didn't seem confidence, and he was like, "Yeah, no, I'll get him. I'll get him. It's
Lego
all right.
boy.
It's all right. I'll get him. I'll get him. I'll get him. I'll cut his head off." You know what I mean? And it was like he just didn't believe it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just didn't feel like he believed it.
But did you see in his eyes the same thing you saw in that second fight? Just like, I sound like some crazy person, but just
in the second fight he knew he was going to win. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
but
he was just like.
Yeah, but you got to remember, like in the first time he met Figueiredo in the cage, Figueiredo was on him straight away.
Yeah.
Like he came in with a spinning back kick, and then he was overhand to take down. In the second fight, where Moreno's confidence is now up a little bit, Figueiredo's holding back because he knows he needs to be more patient over 5 rounds. Now Moreno's like, "Oh, okay, I've got this." And his confidence started to climb a little bit. And because Figueiredo didn't really do much for 3 minutes, Moreno's confidence was growing very, very quickly. Because he was jabbing him, and he was, you know what I mean? He was like dominating the space, basically.
Yep.
And Figueiredo was throwing a few like weird kicks. He did like a side kick and like a lead hook kick. But then when he got drawn into a little trade, Moreno hit him with that jab and dropped him. And the other thing I think is significant about that knockdown is the way that Figueiredo reacts when he hits the floor. Like, he hits the floor and then he, like, scurries away like a vampire seeing sunlight coming towards him. Like, he was desperate to not give his back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like there's a fear that Figueiredo's got in him in that second fight that he didn't have in the first fight.
Yeah, it was a pretty slick transition to get the choke.
For sure. And then, second round of the second fight, Moreno comes out, dominates him wrestling, takes his back 3 times or exposes his back 3 times. It was just a bad night for Figueiredo all round.
Yeah.
And I feel like because he took that first 3 minutes to maintain his composure and then got dropped, it was like he fell from such a great height that there was no getting back into that fight, Mm-hmm. And I feel like Moreno can have a rough first round like he did in the third fight, first round, third fight, got hit with some really brutal leg kicks, but also landed a couple of counter rights. So he came out of that round, I think it was all scored for Figueiredo on the scorecards, but still was able to come out into the second and put together a good enough performance to win all those scorecards.
Yeah.
So it's like their mindsets ebb and flow so much based on what's happening and how they feel about themselves and what success they're having and what's being successful against them. That this is why it's a difficult one to pick. It really is.
And how do you feel Figueiredo saw? Because in my opinion, Brandon had a much harder time with Kai Kara-France the second time around, and he beat him the exact same way he did in the first time. With the body kick.
Yeah, but I feel like he was doing well with Kai Kara-France until Kai fought his way back into the fight a little bit, and then Moreno was able to catch him with the body kick. It wasn't like the fight was going Moreno body kick. It was going Moreno Kai Kara-France body kick.
Yeah,
So it was like there was a shift in there, but the positive that you draw from that is that you can see that Moreno can be ahead on the scorecards, he can be doing well, and then the fight can start slipping away from him, and he's got the ability to pull it back.
Yes.
Like, the addition of the body kick was really nice because almost always he goes high kick.
Yes.
Right? In the third fight against Figueiredo, we were seeing him use his left hook, which he wasn't really using in the first 2 fights. So you can see he's going, there's an opportunity to use this here. Maybe that was something that Kraus worked into his game, because Figueiredo likes to roll in like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if he's rolling past your jab, he's going to roll himself up into this position where he's on your blind side, which was why the hook kept working.
Yeah.
Because he kept slapping him with it as he was rolling in that direction. So like we see these adaptations in Moreno's game, and that gives me a lot of confidence that he can adapt. But still in that third fight, he was damaged in the first round and he had to adapt under pressure, and it still wasn't enough.
And what do you feel about the change? Because he did, with the Kai Kara-France fight, changed a bit his stance, right? He was a bit more MMA, a bit less, like...
Figueiredo did?
No.
Oh, no, Moreno. Yeah. But I think he has been trying to change his stance a little bit because he's so heavy on his front leg, it makes that front leg vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like, because he stands and he leans over his front leg so much, that was one of the reasons why Figueiredo ate it up. And his defense is to start tucking it up underneath him to try and take some of the sting out of it and throw the right hand over the top. But then you can't do that all the time, and you can't fight like in that stance all the time. So there are times in the Kai Kara-France fight where like you can see him being who he was when he's leaning forward, and all of a sudden there's like a voice in his head or maybe in his corner, and they go, get your composure back, and then he goes, you know what I mean? And he kind of like settles back into a stance. But then we saw the same thing from Figueiredo as well. Like Figueiredo came out in a karate stance, and he does stand like that sometimes. But when he's got respect for his opponent or when he's trying to hold himself back, like when he's being aggressive, he's head over his front foot, hands are down. So I think they both struggle with that composure to like hold themselves back and make better decisions instead of just being like, let's just go.
Yeah.
Let's just go. Like you see that in Figueiredo's scrambles. They're wild, and he gives his back and he makes all kinds of mistakes, but because he's strong and he's powerful, he's fast, and he's got good submissions, he gets away with it. I remember his scramble against Benavidez in the first round of their first fight was a wild scramble, you know what I mean? It's almost got him in an armbar, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going with Figueiredo because I just feel like the strength and power is such a deciding factor in this one.
I'm very impressed in all of the amount of extra stuff Moreno does in comparison to, well, majority of the fighters, just because he's also like an analyst for the Spanish, but helping out. There's a lot of deals, for example, he was doing in Spain while he was out over here in France, and it's just nonstop what they have. He's basically single-handedly driving up the UFC in Spanish. And Figueiredo doesn't have all that on his shoulders, if that makes sense. They don't make him do all this type of stuff. Like, he'll show up every once in a while. And Moreno kind of has a lot of extra things that are very draining.
Yeah. But then, can you imagine him sitting still?
No.
So that's the thing. I don't think that's a bad thing for him.
That's true.
I think if he wasn't doing those things, he would be training and he'd be burning himself out.
Yeah.
So I think those distractions are quite good for him. That's why he's got a room full of Lego. Do you know what I mean? Because you can burn yourself out doing too much training. Sometimes you need to just slow yourself down. And he's definitely that individual. He's 100 miles an hour all the time. Yeah.
Plus, he's super cool.
He is super cool.
If you don't like him,
I don't know how you couldn't like him. He is super cool. But that's again, you know, I don't pick people in fights because they're super cool. And his opponent is terrifying, and I'm more likely to lean towards the person who's terrifying. Less terrifying when he's dyed his eyebrows pink. I will say that wasn't a good look for him.
Yeah.
When he was he outside the cage when he fought Kai Kara France? And he's standing there wearing his grandma's sweater and he's dyed his eyebrows pink.
Yeah, I'm just not.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Yeah. He just, I wouldn't even, if I was him, I wouldn't even bother dyeing my hair. I'd just grow my beard out crazy and just look like a wild man. I think he's scary. I think he's like a proper berserker in his head. And I think it's a real challenge for him to like hold himself back.
Yeah, you see all the memes of like the Brandon looking like McLovin.
Yeah.
And then Figueiredo with like a gun.
Yeah, Figueiredo looks like he'd bite your nose off if you got into a disagreement with him.
I feel like he holds himself back not to do that during the fights.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, and you know, and again, like I'm not picking on him in any particular reason, but you watch the replay of that eye poke in the second round. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
Like he's like fucking have some of that. Do you know what I mean? It was like come on, dude, like make it look a little bit less obvious. Like
so sorry.
Like a certain former champion who always used to punch like that, so his thumb was out to catch people in the eye. Come on, man. We see slow-mo replays. Yeah. I think he's got a real mean streak, and I don't mean that red line through his hair. I think he's got a nastiness to him, which I don't know as Moreno's got. Moreno's got a toughness. Like he'll stand and slug it out, but he won't kick you in the groin and run away. And Moreno will bite your nuts off. Like Figueiredo will bite your nuts off, and Moreno wouldn't even kick you in the groin on purpose. Right? Am I wrong?
Yeah,
Does that statement seem off to you in any way?
No, I feel
like can you imagine a conversation in Moreno's head where he calculates the idea of if I post on his face and claw with my fingers, I'll be able to rake his eyes and maybe get up back to my feet. That is not passing through Moreno's going, I should buy him that Lego set. I think he'd really enjoy building that after this fight. And Figueiredo's thinking, hey, his face tastes nice, you know?
Yeah.
Scary dude.
But he was really happy for Moreno when after that.
That's why it was so. That's why it was so out of character.
Yeah.
It was like when we went to see that dog that we were going to rescue, and we went to see it 2 times. And the first time it was super chill and calm, and the second time it looked like it was going to attack somebody. Right?
At all times.
Yeah.
I remember I was just like, "What is this?" The same?
It was like the lack of confidence. Yeah, it was. There was anyway. His lack of confidence and his patience looked like he'd been sedated in that second fight. And when he was afterwards, when he was, I'm happy for him.
He like lifted him up and everything.
Because he knows he's going to pull his arms off next time they fight. That's just how I think his brain works. He's like, oh yeah, okay, you won, but next time I'm going to murder you.
I'm going to give you this.
Yeah,
because
it just seemed out of character to me for Figueiredo, and I think that. I think Moreno can absolutely win. I think he's got all the skills to win, but I think it has to be the perfect storm for him.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that perfect storm already happened though.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fighters that like have beat a person, but I feel like if they fight that person again, they won't beat them again. That was just your best night and they were having a really like shit decisions throughout it.
Yeah. I don't feel like that's the case with. I mean, like you look at the rounds as well, you know. Like, so I went through all the scorecards, and if you look at the first and the last fights, Figueiredo won 5 rounds on all scorecards, and Moreno won 2 on all scorecards. So again, like it's been easier in history for the judges to score for Figueiredo for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Even close rounds, they generally lean towards. Like, look at that third round of their third fight. Like, some judges would have scored that to Moreno based on the amount of work that he did.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I personally thought Moreno...
It was a good round for him
enough.
until he got dropped. But had it been a more even round up to that point, it might have been a 10-8 for Figueiredo.
Yes.
So that's the thing. It might have been a 10-9 because Moreno had a good round.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the point, isn't it? Like, Moreno had done 4.5 minutes of really good work. Last 30 seconds, he steals the round back off you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you're the small guy fighting like the really big guy in the gym. You're like, tagged him, jab, jab, move, jab, jab. Did all this work and then they just overhand clipped you. You're just like,
Yeah. I'm going for Figueiredo. I'm going for Figueiredo.
Unfortunately, I am as well.
I feel like he might stop him as well. I don't think
I'm
he's excited for it, though. Do you not?
No, I think he might win the decision, but I don't.
We'll see.
Don't say that about my boy.
That cut could open up.
Yeah.
It is under the eye, though. But then again, the swelling was pretty bad against Cut.
The swelling was bad.
That could swell shut over 5 rounds.
When I saw him again, that was not okay.
Not okay. Okay, main event.
Yes.
For the vacant light heavyweight championship, Glover Teixeira against Jamal Hill.
I felt like we did a vacant lightweight championship recently.
Yeah. No one seems to want this belt, do they? Imagine if this is a draw. Dana's going to put the belt on himself. He'd be like, bring Figueiredo back. He can be the light heavyweight champ. Johnny Walker and Paul Craig would be main event for the light heavyweight belt next. You watch. So Glover Teixeira has a very impressive record of 33 wins and 8 losses. Jamal Hill, still young in his MMA career with 11 wins and 1 loss. I have done a war room on this. Please make sure you go and check it out. I find it very difficult to pick against Glover Teixeira, and I still don't know as I'm going to pick against him here. But I do feel like his zombie-like recovery ability is running out.
Yeah.
Right? 1979 he was born. It was a long time ago.
What? Doesn't him, like Shogun Rua, have a win over Rampage?
Yeah, his win over Rampage is almost exactly 10 years ago. I mentioned that in the War Room yesterday. It's like... he's just got such an impressive record. He really has. Because he's been going for so long. And I remember Joe Rogan talking about him before he'd even signed his UFC contract. Because he was on this mad win streak. He'd stopped, Soccerdew. He stopped Soccerdew, who might not be a name that most people remember. But he was a scary individual. He used to train with Dan Henderson at Team Quest Temecula. And he got signed to Pride and dropped, I can't remember who it was. One of them was Nogueira. In fact, his Tapology picture is him celebrating with his Pride win. But he was like, let me find him. Who was it? Yes, yeah, there you go. So he came in, so he won 2 fights as a pro. I know this is way off topic. I'm talking about someone other than the 2 fighters that are fighting. So he won 2 fights. He lost to Glover Teixeira. This is why it's important, right? Because in his first 5 fights, won the first 2, stopped him in the first round, lost to Glover Teixeira, but then knocked out Nogueira in 23 seconds, and then knocked out Ricardo Arona in just under 2 minutes, and then signed with the UFC. Like, they are big wins. Ricardo Arona is a absolute powerhouse, and Little Nog, of course, a fantastic boxer. Like, Soccerdew was really good, and in his first 5 fights, his only loss was Glover Teixeira. So he was already doing really good work ages ago. And that's the thing with Glover Teixeira, is the wealth of experience that he's got. It's a positive in one way because he has all that experience to carry in, but it's a negative in the other way because the cost of getting that experience means that he's had his brain rattled a good few times by some big boys. And there's going to come a point when he can't take those shots anymore, and he doesn't get back up, take him down, and mount him. And I just kind of feel like he has to be approaching that point.
Yeah, but I feel like he got one more in him.
He's got one more in him, has he?
He's in Rio, and plus the Yuri fight must burn. Oh my, I would be.
Yeah.
I would. Oh my God.
It was a great fight, and he
just kind of let it go. He was just like, I won this. I'm up in the scorecards. I'm winning. This boy ain't got nothing on the ground against me. And he's just kind of like, I'm winning nonchalant a few more seconds. And he just gets, after all the work that he put, after just coming through.
But do you think Jamahal Hill can do that? See, that's the thing, is that I don't...
Nah, I don't think...
If Jamahal Hill does that, it's because Glover Teixeira's stayed in the striking range for too long.
Yeah.
And he's been pressing forward too relentlessly. Because Hill does really good work moving backwards, and Glover does tend to kind of walk onto stuff a little bit. Like, if this hits the ground, I imagine Glover's going to be all over him and could quite easily sub him in the first round.
Yeah, you remember that Paul Craig?
Ugh. Yeah, exactly.
Jamahal
That's an elbow to attack, because it wasn't even broken, was it? They just popped it back in and went along his way.
Yeah,
gave him a Modelo and told him to suck it up. I don't know. On any other event, I would be like, yeah, Glover Teixeira for sure. Like what he did to Smith, what he did to Santos, what he did to Blachowicz, I think he's going to do the same thing again.
Yes.
He's going to be able to take a big shot. He's going to be able to recover with his fundamentals and get the finish. But I feel like this might be the turning point where he doesn't get back up. And Jamahal can hit hard with both hands. He's got good kicks. Mm-hmm. He's a long-range fighter. He's very loose. I'd be more comfortable to see Teixeira fighting Shogun, to be honest. That's the level of fighting that I feel like he should be at. I feel like Jamahal Hill at this point it's a different generation again, kind of like the Poteria fight.
Yeah, but...
Like, he's there because he was the former champion. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense. But just also, he was beating Yuri before he kind of let the fight slip away, because he was just like, oh, you're not going to do anything to me.
But then he did.
Yeah, he did. But you learn from that, because that's going to burn you. Like, you're making a tea, and that's going to be on your mind. You go to sleep, and like...
But what's the lesson from it? Like, what's the lesson that he gets from the Prochazka fight that he takes into the Hill fight?
That even if you're winning on the scorecards and you're master jiu-jitsu, like, anyone that's athletic and young could just do some random choke on you, and like, it wasn't random, you know, it was great. It was great setup, but any other day of the second of anything.
So do you think if they fought again that Teixeira would beat him the next time around?
I think Teixeira would be like mentally tired before that fight happened. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because that took it.
I would be mentally tired if I was still fighting at 44 years old and fighting some of these young guys that are coming up that are absolute killers. Like, Prochazka was a massive risk for him, and he did really well.
Yeah.
For the majority of the fight until you know it fell in on him. I feel like it could fall in on him quite quickly though with Jamahal Hill. Like, he could walk onto something. That overhand left. Like, the other thing as well is Jamahal Hill's a southpaw. You know, he's not quite as chaotic as Prochazka. Like, Prochazka winds up with stuff. You can kind of see him coming a lot of the time. And if you've got good fundamentals, a good defense, got a
left hook. That's it. Teixeira has.
Yeah. It's like
TC kept calling for, watch out for the left hook.
It's good boxing fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
Good defense, good footwork. He plods a little bit is my concern, and like I said on the War Room, I can see Jamahal catching him up the centre line like Gustafsson did with those uppercuts, but I could see Hill doing it with his feet instead.
Yeah,
kick the body, snap front kick to the face, and then he's always got his hands to fall back on. Check right hook, overhand left.
I like how when he fought Johnny Walker and he got that knockout, he really was tying him up against, you know, like in the corner, like squeezing him in.
Yeah, and that was like one of those Golovkin punches as well.
Yeah, on the top of the head. Yeah, kind of just.
Johnny Walker gets knocked out in the weirdest ways, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Weirdest ways, like arm flailing, kind of. It's really odd. Like, if I'm Paul Craig, I know we're jumping about. If I'm Paul Craig, I would be trying to crack him on the chin. Because it'd be easier to knock him down than take him down.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway, we're jumping back and forth. I don't know. I would normally go Glover Teixeira because great basics, great fundamentals, toughness, experience. Jamahal Hill's only had 12 pro fights. That's not enough to beat Glover Teixeira. But then there is going to come a point when the young fighter is just a bit too quick and a bit too powerful.
But it ain't going to be in Rio. It ain't going to be...
No, you don't think it's going to be, and neither do the UFC, which is why they've made this fight. But I'm not so sure.
I think Glover's going to do it.
You reckon,
I think Glover's going to do it. Look, Jamal Hill went 25 minutes in his 4th pro fight, right?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be 25 minutes against Johnny Walker, ended in the 1st round. But sometimes when fighters like Terrence McKinney, when you don't get that, that straightaway knockout that you think you're going to get, you might be like in shock. And here comes Zombie Teixeira.
Yeah, but he's just been into the 4th round with Santos. And he showed good composure in that fight. Didn't Santos take him down a bunch of times? I think he did. I think Santos attempted to take him down a bunch of times. Took him down 6 times out of 20.
Oh, yeah. He won 4th round. That's very true. Still, I'm still going Glover Teixeira. Yeah.
The other fight I watched back as well for this one was, I watched all of his fights, but the one that stood out was the Stosic one. Because Stosic is short, closes distance, tries to punch, takes him down 6 times out of 9 attempts, but doesn't really control him. But then that's the difference, is I feel like maybe his takedown offense might let him down.
Mm-hmm.
But with other fights, like Thiago Santos and Stosic, he's got the scrambling ability to get back up.
Yeah.
But Glover Teixeira doesn't allow him to because he's got too good control.
Yeah, he's kind of like that. Like, if you go to any Brazilian jiu-jitsu, there should be, like, one of those guys in every gym that's just been there for a while. And
held together with tape.
Yeah, like, he's a horrible round because you just feel so heavy.
Yeah.
So any move you do, offense or defense, you're just exerting so much energy because the dude feels like a giant sandbag on top of you.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work, and that takes a lot out of you, and maybe enough of the springiness and... Yeah.
So were you going Glover?
I'm going Glover.
Oh.
I'm going Glover by sub.
Oh, yeah.
By sub, yeah.
My goodness. 2-inch height advantage, 3-inch reach advantage for
or left hook knockout. I don't know. Might be a good night for him. It worked out good because he was supposed to, with that cancellation with Yuri, he was supposed to fight Ankalaev, and he was like, nah, I ain't doing it. And now nobody won, and now he's fighting for the belt.
Yeah.
This is a really good scenario for him.
Yeah. I feel like I might regret this. Well, I won't regret this pick because I'm a big fan of Glover Teixeira, but I'm going to pick Glover, but I have a bad feeling about it.
Did I convince you?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I've been holding on to a hope that I might be able to convince myself that Glover Teixeira is going to do it, but I just see a scenario where he gets hit with a shot that a couple of fights ago he would have been able to walk through, or at least get back to his feet and score a takedown.
Yeah, plus he's been training with Alex Pereira.
Exactly. So he's already had his head softened up by one of the biggest punches in the sport.
Maybe that's true.
Someone said that in an interview the other day. It's like, oh yeah, but he's been preparing with Pereira. I'm like, yeah, that don't help. Like, Glover Teixeira looks like a punch bag against some guys already. He might look like a punch bag every day against Alex Pereira. Yeah, he might be able to take him down and grapple fuck him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not going to get beaten up every day and sparring on the feet.
Yeah, left hook to a flying knee, that switch knee that he does. Ugh.
I'm going to pick Teixeira. I can't pick against him because the thing is, if I pick Jamal Hill, then Teixeira's going to get dropped. He's going to come back, zombie up, take him down, and get him arm triangle or arm triangle.
Yeah. I think Teixeira wins this and retires.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Because Yuri's not going to come back for a while, and then he's just like, I'm 40-something years old. I'm in Rio.
I'll fight Jan again, but I want nothing to do with Ankalaev. I'll fight the winner of Johnny Walker, Paul Craig.
Yeah.
That would be awesome if he retired.
This, and then he just goes...
Dana's going to have to take a trip to Turkey and get some hair implants so he can pull his fucking hair out if that happens.
I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen, man.
No, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Heavyweight champ walks out the building, light heavyweight champ retires.
I think it's going to happen. I have a feeling about it. Or maybe he'll hold it for a little bit and then say, well, I decided,
Have a think about it. I might have one more. I'll wait and see who they offer me and then I'll retire.
I'll get some sponsorship money and then retire.
Yeah, just do the rounds. Say he's going up to heavyweight to fight Jones.
Yeah.
Rematch. Ooh. Heavyweight rematch against John Jones. If he decides he's moving up to heavyweight, I'm picking Glover Teixeira for every fight for the rest of his career. That'd be an epic move. Can you imagine? Look at the killers that are coming up in this division. Yeah. think it'd be a good time for him to step away.
Yeah, like that guy in under in that card, the #1 pick, Jailton Almeida.
Jailton Almeida, yeah.
He would be a difficult fight for Glover, I think, because he's like physically and also good on the ground.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like that's the type of thing that's coming up. So for Glover, you just want to, while these boys
pick up the gold and exit, cash your check and leave. Yeah, for sure. Okay, you've convinced me. I'm going to pick Glover Teixeira, but I am going to watch through a gap in my fingers.
That's how you watch Glover, and then you get inspired and you go train. You go like Rocky Balboa.
Yeah, get inspired to go and find that coach that knocks his students out at the end of every session. You've seen him on Instagram.
Dude, I used to have one.
What a toolbox.
Like, front kicked us in the end of training. Like, if we got up, we were like, good.
What a toolbox.
Yeah, definitely.
Jump him in the car park. Right, shall we wrap it there?
Let's wrap it.
Let's wrap it there. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors, newshirt.co.uk. Go and check them out. They've got some very cool designs. And AG1, Athletic Greens. Go to athleticgreens.com/outlawed. You will get a year's supply of D3 and K2, 5 of the travel packs, as well as obviously this, and your container and your bottle and the scoop, the metal scoop. Love a good metal scoop. Quality. That's what you're getting from AG1. Make sure you check them out. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Veronica. And we'll see you next time.
New year, new you.
How long have you been saving that for?
Well, I just thought about it. Hang on. No, you just didn't give me the opportunity.
Here we go. There we go. Go on. We'll just edit this out. Pretend you didn't see it.
Okay, in my head I was thinking about it, and then you're just like, well, we're going to wrap up, and I'm like, I'm still going to say it.
Am I going to turn my phone out of airplane mode, and it's going to say this. New me, new you. Say it.
No, you promised yourself you were going to be fitter this year. You promised yourself you were going to get healthy. Get yourself athletic green.
I feel like you're talking to me now. I feel victimized. That's a good place to leave it. It's always about me. No, it's not. It's about Athletic Greens. Go and get yourself some. All right. Catch you next time.